All right. We are live. A little bit late, about 6 minutes late. Such is life. That's usually what we do around here. We're going to be tackling some sleeper mock drafts. So what we're going to do is, drop the link for these in the chat, drop it into the Discord, and we're going to do, as many mocks as we can. Probably go for an hour and a half on here. Maybe we'll get done two, maybe we'll get done three, whatever ends up happening. So I will drop the link to the mock draft in the chat. It's the first one. We'll just do like a 12-team PPR mock, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flexes. If people want to change it up after this one and we want to do like a 3 wide receiver or like a half PPR or whatever,
super flex.
We can definitely do all that stuff. So I'm dropping those links into the Discord and into the YouTube chat, so you guys can join up. First come, first serve. Obviously, if you guys want to be a part of these and you don't get into this one, we're going to do other ones after it. And also make sure you got noties on so you're notified anytime we do live streams like this. So Andrew was in here like an hour before we went live. Morning, boys. What's going on? What are your thoughts on the double hero RB this year? So, I mean, Ron put out a video just yesterday about the double hero RB. The same day we put out a video about zero RB. Swear to God, we did not plan that. It just was hilarious. The double hero RB, I definitely agree with what Ron said in the video that it is more viable this year, but specifically on a site like Underdog where everybody's a sharp drafter and the rooms are like that. But in a double hero RB start in your home league, that might differ. It might be the same as it always is every year if your home league market hasn't really changed much. But if your home league is like a market like Underdog where everybody's drafting wide receivers high, it definitely is more viable this year. So I'm going to pull the thing up here.
I was just quickly going to say as well, the other thing that I noticed, by the way, share the tab. It's going to be a lot cleaner for you. Yeah. What I noticed too about the double hero RB specifically on Underdog is a bog standard double hero where I go with 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds this year. I haven't really liked the wide receivers that came back to me. However, on Underdog, if you're doing a modified double hero RB and you're grabbing 1 in the first 2 rounds, and then a guy like Travis Etienne, a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs or something like that in round 4, I actually have typically really liked those builds. You're still getting that elite upside with the running back position. And then instead of maybe, hoping for Calvin Ridley round 3 and maybe, I don't know, round 4 wide receiver Mike Williams, you're instead looking at a team that consists of, let's just say, CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard. Round 3, you go Calvin Ridley, and then round 4, you wrap it up with Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you also, for Underdog purposes, have that Detroit-Dallas week 17 covered as well.
Yeah, and I mean, the spot that you just pulled when I randomized the draft order is also a spot to do a modified double hero too, because you get one of those top receivers, and then you can go with maybe like Pollard probably won't be on the board, but you can go with like a Ramondre Brees or a Jacobs Brees or maybe a JT Brees or something like that. So we're going to start this draft. Danny picking for the 2 spot. I'm at the 11 spot, basically the inverse of the 0 RB video that we did yesterday. And we'll see kind of how this goes. It is a 60-second timer on the clock, so nobody get fired. We'll go as long as people want to. We don't have to go the full 14 rounds of this draft. If people are just like, let's scrap it and do a new one, we can definitely do that. But I do like to talk about some of the later round guys as well. So Danny, Chase, number 2, not really a huge concern there.
Got my hopes up when I did see the Bengals logo at the guy picking 1. I'm like, maybe I get a J. Jeff at 2 share. Now he took the sharp pick. I do think Justin Jefferson should be the first overall pick in every single league. By the way, it's a timer set. It doesn't say any timer going.
What's up? Oh, okay. Did I not put a timer on?
There's no timer, I don't believe. Okay, what? That's glitching. It just said on the clock. It doesn't say the actual time. Now it does. Okay.
Now
that was weird.
The timer was set the whole time, which is weird.
Yeah, that just maybe a glitch. Who knows? Jared says in a 32-man league for the first time. How do I go about it? Jared, I'm not going to lie. I've never played in a 32-man league. It sounds like something that it would make me want to bleach my eyes out. But in terms of strategy, I don't know. I honestly don't know how to go about a 32-man league. Do you have any experience with one?
I do not. I'm honestly impressed that you guys even just got 32 people coordinated.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, just get 4 more people and make it 3 leagues. You're chilling.
Devastating. Why did you have to get my hopes up that I was going to get Bijan at the 110 there, or 111?
Yeah, that's
sorry,
ridiculous value. If so, yeah. I mean,
all I'm saying is if you guys have a late pick and you have Bijan available at this point in the draft, it is stealing money. It is literally stealing money. The guy is my 4th overall player, and you have a legendary upside potential running back, and because the running back position has underperformed in recent years. Everybody's so obsessed with these wide receivers when we don't realize that there's a guy that could legitimately break fantasy football on the board at sometimes in the late first round where he went here. So my next rated wide receiver, I believe, is Amon-Ra St. Brown. My next rated running back is Nick Chubb. I do have St. Brown and, Adams, Garrett Wilson, and who's the other guy in this area? And AJ Brown all over Nick Chubb. So I'm going to grab Amon-Ra here. Again, it's a PPR league. I'll show you guys the roster settings in case you're just joining us right now. 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 2 flex, full PPR, no like crazy bonuses or anything like that. Again, we can, switch up the scoring format in the next mock that we end up doing. But here at the 111, very good chance I end up going with a 2 wide receiver start and potentially follow the same kind of trajectory that we talked about in yesterday's video, which was the zero RB video. If you guys want to check it out, definitely go and do that. I'm on the board here again. I would be between Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams. With these 2 guys, you really have to, that they're the locked and loaded number 1 receiver for their team. The question is, do you want to go with the steady veteran who might be getting up there in age? There's a little bit of concern with this quarterback play in Davante Adams. Or do you want to go with the young up-and-coming stud with the better quarterback in Garrett Wilson? I personally did not see. What's up?
I was just going to say, who has the other person's former quarterback, oddly enough?
Yeah, I typically go Garrett Wilson a lot of times in here. I mean, Davante Adams to me didn't show really any signs of slowing down last year. Jimmy Garoppolo looks like he's going to be just fine this year. Maybe you just want to favor the better offense or the better, team situation to help you sleep at night. But I think pound for pound, Davante Adams is still one of the best 3 or 4 receivers in the NFL. And Garrett Wilson, while I love him and I think he could take a huge step forward, he just isn't at that level of Davante Adams yet. So for me, I kind of just lean with the talent at wide receiver. We always talk about how much talent at wide receiver matters. And Davante Adams, even if the Raiders win 4 or 5 games this year, could legitimately still have 170 plus targets and be great for fantasy. He's one of those guys that is totally like team situation proof. And the fact that he scores as many touchdowns as he does is also going to help that offense, assuming Jacob's back.
Yeah, for me, again, they're same tier. I do prefer Garrett Wilson over Adams. The only reason being is that when it comes to Davante Adams, obviously we know that the ceiling is massive, legitimately top 3 overall wide receiver ceiling. But I will say for a guy like Garrett Wilson, showing what he showed in his rookie year, big time quarterback upgrade, got 147 targets last year on I think a 24.9% target percentage. So you're taking a 25, potentially plus 26, 27, 28% target share next year as a second-year player with Aaron Rodgers. I just like the situation there. Not to mention, once you're, comparing the downside risk of an older wide receiver versus a young 22-year-old, that's kind of where I get to. But I would say Garrett Wilson would be the last wide receiver I would actually take over Davante Adams. And oddly enough, I actually do have Davante Adams ranked over AJ Brown, who went 1 spot before him in this draft.
Yeah, I would take both of those guys over AJ, just given the pass heavy nature of those offenses. Yep. This room, couple 0 RB shells here. We got Ski at the 105 going with kind of the same shell as me. A 108 Stephon Diggs, Jalen Waddle. Then we got a Devontae Smith and CeeDee Lamb. Really early on Smith, in my opinion. I think I probably would have gone Waddle over him there. But yeah, a lot of people looking to build out the shells here. It could be a race to get some of these quarterbacks and tight ends and other wide receivers by the time we get to the end of the 3rd round here. So what are you looking at here? You still got some backs on the board. That's probably the direction I'd be going.
Yeah, I'm on the clock here, and I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor, and I understand there's a lot of, risk there. We don't know what's going on, but for what we know right now is that he's an elite talent at the running back position. He's going to get a ton of work if he plays this year, realistically. So getting him here at a discount to 11, this would be a guy that if he was reported to play week 1, he would probably be going more so in that early to mid 2nd round. So getting that little discount, I'll take.
Yeah, for sure. This is an interesting question. Ramsey says, I'm in a 1-year punt with 5 first-round picks next year. Should I trade Bijan for Amon-Ra on a first? So at face value, I think that's a pretty solid trade. But I think that Bijan is one of the best assets to have in a 1-year punt because he's one of the few running backs you can project for, a 4 to 5 year window as long as he's on his rookie contract. So for me, honestly, I think I would just hold Bijan unless you got a little bit more than Amon-Ra on a 1. You might be on the side of Amon-Ra on a 1 over Bijan, but I think in a 1-year punt, I already have 5 first-round picks to build out the rest of my roster. I think I honestly just want the difference-making running back because next year I'm probably going to try and contend, and we expect Bijan, just like he is this year, to be like a top 3 redraft running back.
Unless it's like an early to mid first, I would agree with you, to be honest. Even if it's a mid to late, I just want Bijan Robinson here simply because I know in terms of projecting the market forward that Bijan Robinson, if he has an RB2, RB3 overall finish, he's going to be, a guy that quite simply is just a tier above Amon St. Brown. And I guess you could make the argument that it's a decent value play, but you have 5 first-round picks. You just said it's a 1-year punt. You're expecting to compete maybe as soon as next year. And with Bijan Robinson, like if you have him on your team going into next year, he will be the unanimous running back 1 ranked across every single fantasy footballer's rankings.
Yeah, and I would say if you didn't have 5 ones and you were looking for pieces and ways to build out the rest of your roster, this would make more sense. But knowing that you have those 5 first rounders, I'm probably not moving off of Bijan. He also said super flex league. Yeah, we probably figured that. Bobcat says, "What's up? What's going on? Let's fucking go, fellas. What's going on, Nate?
Let's go."
If Rodgers struggles like Russ, can Wilson still pay out at cost? If Rodgers struggles so. I think that's like a fair statement. Like if he struggles like Russ, but that meant that Denver scored the least amount of points in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So what you're suggesting is a complete implosion by the New York Jets, which I suppose is possible. You got an older quarterback, but he sounds like he's kind of reinvigorated. He won the MVP 2 of the last 3 years, unlike Russ, who kind of his play did steadily decline a little bit before he left Seattle. I think it's way more likely that Wilson missing, quote unquote, is a result of like the offense being a little bit more run heavy and Garrett Wilson being like a high target, but not a high touchdown type of score. So for me, I think that Wilson is probably the type of guy that's going to be relatively safe overall, but he might not necessarily have like a top 5 ceiling if he doesn't get a lot of red zone work or a lot of touchdown scoring volume. If let's say Rodgers is struggling or something like that.
By the way, I'm not gonna lie, I got confused at first when he said Russ and then Wilson. I thought he was talking about Russ, like Russell Wilson, the whole. But then I realized he meant like Garrett Wilson. Like, would he still pay off?
Yeah,
no, I get it for sure. Do you think David Bell is still worth a stash in my taxis? I don't think he's gonna pay off.
You could probably drop him, to be honest.
Yeah, he's just not athletic enough for the NFL. I think we kind of learned over the last couple of years now. Yo, what's up, Brody? What's up? Rank CD, AJB, and Amon-Ra. The only difference in that order you have them right now is I would put Amon-Ra over AJ Brown, but I'd have it CD, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown.
Yeah, and I somehow get Ramondre Stevenson falling back to me, which I thought was pretty crazy. Starting my draft with 2 anchor wide receivers. Again, I was fully prepared to be like, oh, I might have to build out a 0 RB here because all the running backs are going to be gone by the time I get back to my pick. But a little hero RB action with a huge value on Ramondre Stevenson. I've heard people talk about this already, but I think every single possible landing spot that Dalvin Cook could go to, all of the price points are depressed for all of them. Breece Hall's going a little bit lower as a result. Ramondre Stevenson's going a little bit lower as a result. Devon Achane's going a little bit lower as a result. There's only one Dalvin Cook out there. So 2 of these guys are going to be huge values if you're picking them up right now. And even still, like, we're not scared of Dalvin Cook. I think this guy's completely washed. So I'm a little nervous that the Patriots keep bringing in running backs, but I will say it's more, to me, I think it speaks more to the fact that, Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris aren't good behind Ramondre than it does Ramondre being like the guy that you don't want to be drafting. So I'm not a huge Metcalf guy, but I think he might be the best available player on the board right now. In the 4th round, I think this is not usually what you're looking at. With Metcalf, he's usually like a mid-3rd round type of guy. So for me, it would be between him and Amari Cooper, I think, is my highest rated guys. I'm going to go with Metcalf here, knowing that I got 2 volume studs. Give me the guy that has like the big play upside here with Metcalf at 4-2.
Yeah, I don't mind his valuation there. He's a guy I don't find myself drafting when he's valued in that middle to late 3rd round portion, but you can talk me into 4th round Metcalf because obviously, he's the big play upside there. We expect the Seattle offense to be very good this year. So 4th round Metcalf, yeah, I do agree. And you're off to a very strong start there with Amon-Ra, Devontae Adams, Ramondre Stevenson, DK Metcalf. And I'm yielding out right now Jamar Chase, Jonathan Taylor, and then the anchor quarterback there with Jalen Hurts. So liking both of our starts here.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to break down, we did the 0 RB strategy yesterday. Probably next week and in the coming weeks, we'll do a hero and a double hero strategy, probably 2 separate videos, just because then you get to see more mock drafts of us deploying those strategies. So you're going to see a little example of me probably doing a hero RB. I'd imagine running back value won't be continually following to me, at least in the dead zone. Maybe if one of the like Dobbins types falls back to me with this pick, I might go after him. But for the most part, I'm probably going to run a hero RB here. So Kyle says finally gave up and traded Trey Lance for a late first. Dude, if you were getting late first for him, you should have given up a long time ago, in my opinion.
I'm even the Trey Lance guy, but I would cash out for any type of 1st round equity for sure.
Honest to God, I would cash out for a 2 right now. I'm not even kidding. I like maybe not a late 2 or something, but like, dude, someone's giving me an early 2 for Trey Lance. Brock Purdy, there was a report today, and I did a fantasy news TikTok / short that I put out like half an hour ago, where Brock Purdy has like minimal discomfort, not like no pain. Like he's going to be ready to go for week 1, man. And if Brock Purdy is ready to go, there is zero chance that Trey Lance starts. Like, and I know the upside scenario still exists. And if he gets traded to a different team or whatever, but I don't know, when quarterbacks, original teams that drafted them give up on them, the hit rates are not good. So as much as the rushing, are we calling it and all that kind of, what's up?
Let me combat that a little bit. You mentioned like, I don't really view it as the 49ers giving up on him. More so, I view it as
if the 49ers spent a third pick in the draft on a quarterback, and they're going to start a 7th round rookie over him, they are giving up on Trey Lance.
But the reason why they're starting that 7th round rookie is because of the success they saw with him last year. If he didn't go, what did he go, like 10-3 as a starter, or he maybe not started that many, but maybe like 5-0. I don't exactly know what his record was, but regardless, they had a very, very good win percentage with him. They obviously made the conference championship. If it doesn't go that smoothly, like Trey Lance is going to be slated to be the starter right here. So I don't necessarily think it's them giving up on, but I don't necessarily think it's them giving up on Trey Lance. I more so think it's Brock Purdy going out there and earning the job, which he showed last year. They have
that's true, but I do think Trey Lance is closer to the like somewhere between the like Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson spectrum of like, he hasn't proven enough clearly in practice, hasn't proven enough clearly in games. He's been hurt. You can lose your job to injury in the NFL. It's a real thing. And Purdy's obviously performed at a high level. So yeah, any first rounder and he's off my team. Brandon says, hey guys, pick one full PPR, Chase or Jefferson. Thinking about a double hero RB as well with one of those two wideouts. So a lot of people, like the guy in my home league, actually, it's ironic that we have a Bengals fan picking first overall in this league. My home league first pick is a Bengals fan, like diehard Bengals fan. So he keeps asking me like, dude, do I just do it? Do I take Chase over Jefferson? Especially in our league format where you get bonuses for big plays. I think it's a little bit more stomachable to go Chase over Jefferson. If it's a simple, like full PPR league, no bonuses, nothing like that, I'm still going Jefferson. But if you got big play bonuses or like, that kind of stuff, I do think Chase maybe has a closer case to go to Jefferson, assuming Burrow is healthy, than some people might think. But I personally would still go with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, no, I definitely would go with Justin Jefferson as well, especially in a full PPR. If it was like a half PPR, big play bonuses, like he kind of mentioned, you may like think about Jamar Chase because, of course, he's insulated to that Bengals offense, and we could probably peg him for 11, 12, 13, maybe even plus touchdowns if he stays healthy. But with Justin Jefferson, this is a guy that had 184 targets last year, put up one of the most insane stat lines that we've ever seen in the NFL amongst the wide receiver position, nearly broke Cooper Kupp's record from the year before. And not to mention, he scored, 7 or 8 touchdowns last year, which was about 3 less than expected. If he gets to 11, 12, 13 plus touchdowns, it's not just he's the number one wide receiver in fantasy. It's that, this is like a Cooper Kupp 2021 situation where it's him and then the rest of the fantasy wide receivers. That is the upside he has.
Yeah, he would absolutely dust the field if that were to happen again. What are your thoughts? So I want to talk about what S-Dubs did here because he does take 2 running backs in the dead zone, quote unquote. But I actually don't mind the price points of either of those guys. I mean, Dobbins a little sketchy because he's like holding out right now. Kenneth Walker, it sounds like he's going to be fine from the injury. So if you could get him in the 5th round, I do actually quite like him on underdog because everybody's scared off of the Charbonnet drafting. But when you think about it, like the peripherals of Kenneth Walker, 2nd round running back, efficient as a rookie, has big play upside. Usually we see these running backs take a big step from year 1 to year 2. And as much as, Zach Charbonnet is going to factor in, he's still a rookie and Pete Carroll's like an old school coach. I'm sure he's going to lean on his veteran a little bit more. So Walker is one of those guys that I'm willing to deviate into the dead zone for if he's in round 5 or late round 4, but not earlier than that. And same goes for Dameon Pierce. I think he went a little early here at 4 or 5, but if he's on the board in round 5, round 6, where he's going in underdog drafts, I think he's a fine deviation as well. But as far as like Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison, like those guys are dead zone running backs. I'm not deviating for them, but there is a select few guys that I don't mind because we also have to remember, as much as the dead zone hit rates aren't good, they still hit at a 33% rate. So there is going to be hits from the dead zone. It's all about kind of like, can you predict said hits? And for me, if Dobbins is 100% on the team and not holding out, he could be a hit. Walker could be a hit, and Dameon Pierce could be a hit, just given the young nature of those running backs and their volume that they can see.
the problem that I have with this selection, to put it simply, the Damian Pierce one in particular, let's just go through. Like, you can't take him over Amari Cooper. You can't take him over Deebo Samuel. You can't take him over Jerry Jeudy. You can't take him over a lot of the wide receivers on the board. So for me personally, he's more so a guy that if he falls to the 6th round, I'm okay with taking. But there's just so many wide receivers in this age. Even like you got Christian Watson on the same team. Like, I would rather Christian Watson, the upside there, over Damian Pierce, especially in a full PPR. Not to mention with the Dobbins and Walker, structurally, I can get behind it if you want to deviate. However, in this particular example, I feel like it would have been better suited taking a guy like Justin Fields, getting that elite quarterback upside, and then maybe taking one of those 2 risky running backs and then backfilling with guys like Charbonnet. Let's just look later. Charbonnet, David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, even like Khalil Herbert, Elijah Mitchell, guys like that. So I would rather backfill and get an elite quarterback there than take 2 risky profiles at this current point of the offseason with both Walker and Dobbins.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is if you're going to deviate for a running back in the dead zone, probably should only do it once, I would say. Like, if you love Walker at 5'1", that's fine. But like Danny said, I might have gone Fields at the 412 there. So I'm back on the board. I've built out my hero RB here. I got Ramondre as my anchor. I got 3 wide receivers. This is a 4 wide receiver start league, as we talked about. And I get myself a positional advantage at tight end. I'm not even super, super high on Pitts, but I think he definitely belongs to go closer to George Kittle and DJ Hawkinson than where he actually went in this room. I already have a big play upside guy in my wide receiver 1 spot in my flex with DK Metcalf. I'm going to grab another big play upside guy with Mike Williams as my other flex option. So I have my 2 anchor PPR studs with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Devontae Adams. And then I get my big play, long touchdown guys in DK Metcalf and Mike Williams.
Oddly enough, that was part of my rationale. Like, Mike Williams actually would have been my highest rated player where I took Drake London. But for me, it was kind of the inverse, where Jamar Chase and Jerry Jeudy have a ton of upside. Whereas like Drake London, I'm getting, of course, the 2nd year ceiling baked in going from year 1 to year 2. And you're getting a more consistent target share there with Drake London, of course, commanding a 29.7 or whatever the fuck it was % target share last year. So I view him as more of that like safe option. He's going to get his targets. Whereas Mike Williams, like you said, the big play upside. If I had started, let's say, Justin Jefferson and Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, someone like that, then I probably would have spiked for some more upside there with Mike.
Yeah, or Ayuk or Watson would also make sense in that area of the draft too. So if you guys are unaware too, we dropped a new feature in our Redraft Rankings Manifesto 2.0 yesterday, which allows you to compare our rankings to specific ADP sources. So if you guys are doing your home league drafts on Sleeper, then you can see what players are undervalued on Sleeper relative to our rankings. And if you're doing it on ESPN, you can see it versus ESPN. If you're doing it on Yahoo, you can see it there, NFL Fantasy, whatever. And I'll just flash the graphic right now. If you guys want access to our Redraft Rankings Manifesto 2.0, you can get access to it by just depositing $10 on Underdog. Or if you already have an Underdog account, if you are in an ineligible state for Underdog, you can get it on our site Flock Fantasy. So I'll just show you. All right, so we see some tight. I started a bit of a tight end run here with Dallas Goedert and Waller going off the board. Still pretty rich at wide receiver. I would say Christian Kirk at this point in the draft is pretty good value. Same goes with Mike Evans and Jordan Addison and some of the other guys on the board. Javonte Williams, another checkpoint for Javonte Williams was hit today that Sean Payton says he's going to play in the preseason. So now we have Javonte Williams meets the checkpoint of not being on the pup. Oh, did my camera just die? I'm going to have to replace my battery here.
You're good, bro. You're good.
Javonte Williams gets replaced on the pup. So he doesn't get replaced on the pup. He comes into camp. He's doing drills. He's doing stuff on the field. And then also now he's going to be ready for week 1, quote unquote, and also playing in preseason games, which is huge. I think 6'8" Javonte Williams, I'm not sure that's going to last. I think that there's a reasonable case you can make to take Javonte Williams over Joe Mixon, to take him over Kenneth Walker, to take him over Aaron Jones, take him over all of these guys, assuming he looks, relatively healthy in the preseason. It's still risky because, he has a higher chance of re-injury and all that kind of stuff coming off of the ACL tear, but I'm very encouraged from what I've seen with Javonte Williams thus far.
Yeah, 100%. So I end up going here with Jordan Addison. Oddly enough, if Darren Waller or Goddard had not gone, I would have taken one of the tight ends on this turn. But most likely going to be taking 2 wide receivers, getting 1 through the flex, aka 1 on the bench here. So we'll just kind of see what S-Dubs does. Because, I guess you could argue Alexander Madison at this point is kind of past the dead zone, and I might actually take him if he falls at the 7-2, because I do feel
at the 7-2, I think he's worthwhile for sure.
I gotta take him here. I gotta take him here. It's 7-2. He's usually going off the board in the 4th, 5th round. So just from a value standpoint, like this is basically past the dead zone. You're looking towards the David Montgomery range, Cam Akers, James Conner area. And while I don't view Madison as a big upgrade over those guys, hence my rankings and why I talked about him as one of my fades with the video with Ron on the Buffoon League Mates video, that's more so when people are taking him round 4, round 5 and have RB1 expectations for him. The 702, if you want to be a running back 2 for me, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, exactly. It's really all about where these guys go. And that's kind of what happened with Jacobs and, some of those guys last year. It's like, did we like Josh Jacobs when he was a 3rd, 4th round pick? No. But did we like Josh Jacobs last year if he fell to round 7? Absolutely. Yeah. Like that's where you want those archetypes, because a round 7 running back, if they achieve 15 points per game, that's a huge win for you. But if a round 4 running back achieves 15 points per game, it doesn't do quite as much given the injury risk there. So if you don't mind soloing this real quick, I'm just going to replace the battery in my camera.
Yep, sounds good. So we just see, of course, I go with Alexander Madison at the 7-2. Again, not a pick you're going to see from me quite often, but it felt decent to be able to take the risk at that spot. We do see right after that, David Montgomery, Quentin Johnson, Rashad White go off the board. Glonky Happy is going to be on the clock, which, by the way, what a unique name there. But we left off here. What are your thoughts on Michael Thomas this year? I haven't heard a lot on him. There's not really much that's been reported about Michael Thomas in terms of his recovery, ready to come and play the season. Kind of by all accounts, seems like he's going to be ready for week 1, but he's not a guy I'm actively targeting. Again, he's an older wide receiver. He hasn't produced since 2019. There's a lot of risk there. So unless he falls to like maybe the early double-digit rounds, I'm probably not even having him on my radar. Around what pick would you feel safe taking Bijan in a 10-man half PPR redraft league? As high as 4th overall. Like, honestly, he's my 5th overall player, but if you want to make the argument that you would take him over Stephon Diggs given current ADP, I don't mind that, because I do think Bijan Robinson is the only chance that anybody has this year in fantasy to receive a legendary upside ceiling. So for me personally, I'd feel comfortable taking him in the top 5, potentially 4th overall.
Yeah, I'm just going to roll with my webcam for about 10 minutes here because all my extra batteries weren't charged because I'm stupid. Good. But anyways, I would take Bijan as comfortable in a half PPR, especially. I'm comfortable taking him 3rd overall. But 4th, 5th overall is probably a little bit more of a reasonable projection. And honestly, you will not have to take him that high. If you're picking 7th in your 10-man half PPR, you probably still get him there at that point. Thoughts on Wandale? Do we think he will recover in his game? See, it's tough because they brought in Paris Campbell. They have Sterling Shepard coming back again. There's so many slot receivers on the fucking Giants that I have no idea what they're going to do deployment-wise. I tend to think that Wandale will probably be like a waiver wire speed dial type of guy. I definitely would not draft him in like a standard redraft league, but in best ball, take some late shots on him. And, if you guys are in week 8, week 9, and he's off of like the pup list or something like that, he definitely might be a worthwhile waiver ad, but I wouldn't be too excited about him. If you guys are in a dynasty league, I would probably look to buy shares of Wandale Robinson like week 1 to week 4 when he's not on the field and everybody's kind of forgotten about him.
Yep. Where are you taking Kupp now after the injury? So I was going to completely tank him in my rankings, but I couldn't bring myself to do that. He's at 6th overall. So I did raise Bijan Robinson over him. You guys know I already had Stephon Diggs over him. Corey's going to be a little bit lower on him. But for me personally, the guys that I have him around, or like I said, Tyreek Hill 3, Stephon Diggs 4, Bijan Robinson 5. I have Kupp at 6. And then right after Kupp, it would be Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Austin Eckler for me.
Yeah, so I mean, Kupp was at 9 before the injury for me, so he's probably going to stay at 9 for me now. I had Eckler ahead of him, Lamb ahead of him, Diggs, McCaffrey, Bijan, Tyreek, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. I was already lower on him, so I think Danny's probably the guy that you want to answer that question. Yeah. So I'm back on the board here. Do I want to grab a quarterback? I don't see a big difference between Dak Prescott, Richardson, Kirk Cousins, those type of guys, so I'm probably not going to grab one of them here. I do want to be a little stronger at wide receiver. I think taking an upside swing potentially at wide receiver makes a lot of sense. Treylon Burks would probably be my highest rated guy. Running backs also semi-interesting. I'm going to grab, again, we're outside of the running back dead zone here. So getting Isaiah Pacheco at this point in the draft is actually a decent value. He's supposedly supposed to be ready and back on the field, midway through the preseason from that shoulder injury that he suffered. So a little bit of a risky pick, but again, at the 7-11, like there's going to be home leagues where Isaiah Pacheco is like a 4th, 5th round pick because he plays for Kansas City. So we're outside of the running back dead zone. I'm cool taking archetypes like Cam Akers, James Conner, Rashad White, Alex Madison, DeAndre Swift. Once we're outside of the rounds like 4 to 7, early round 7 area. So for me, I'll take Pacheco at the 7-11. We're basically outside the dead zone at this point.
Did you get your free slushy?
What free slushy?
You didn't get the joke, did you?
No, I did not.
Do you not know what 7-Eleven day is?
Oh, I see. Yes, you're making 7-11 jokes.
I got
over my head.
I'm really making dad jokes when I'm a 23-year-old single living male that lives in his mom's fucking house.
Yeah, you're making dad jokes out here for inexplicable reasons. I'm on the board again. I think I might have to take Prescott at this point. Honestly, there's like nobody I like.
But I mean, if you're scanning the board to be fair,
I hate the wide receiver position.
The only thing I will say is if you do punt the quarterback position, the only guy that doesn't have a quarterback behind you is going to be KT Klein. So you could always just like push it and see what you get.
Honestly, I'm just going to be aggressive and take a guy that I think should be going higher. I'll just take an upside swing on Elijah Moore here at the 8-2. I think it's tad early for him, but he probably wasn't going to come back to me. And I just don't love the board. Like, I am totally fine with any one of Dak Prescott, Tua, Anthony Richardson, or Kirk Cousins coming back to me. I could really care less which guys I get.
Yeah, and like worst case scenario, you just pair a Dak or a Kirk with like Anthony Richardson, and now you both have the stability of a week-to-week quarterback with the upside spikes that a guy like Anthony Richardson will be. And the opportunity cost for taking a guy like Anthony Richardson, who might have a same weekly ceiling as a guy like Justin Fields, you're getting Anthony Richardson obviously maybe in the 9th round versus spending a 5th round pick on Fields. Although I like Fields and I have him like very, very high, I do understand from an opportunity cost standpoint, if you're pairing Anthony Richardson with a stable guy, they kind of represent the same thing. Would you rather spend your 9th and 10th round pick on Kirk Cousins and Anthony Richardson, or would you rather spend your early 5th round pick on Justin Fields? You obviously have the benefit of saving a roster spot, but at the same time, you're taking Fields over some quality players in this 5th round range. So that's a nice debate, I guess, is do you want to close your quarterback core at 1 and get the elite quarterback, or do you want to get the potential elite quarterback paired with the stable guy at lower opportunity cost?
I would much rather take Cousins and Richardson. You guys know, I talked about it in the league winning quarterbacks video that I think that Justin Fields might be the guy that busts the hardest for sure of the top quarterbacks, because what he did rushing wise last year, I don't want to call it unsustainable because he's obviously still as good of a runner as he was last year, but he did rely quite a bit on big plays. And I think when you're getting the discount opportunity cost on Richardson in round 9, who can do the exact same shit that Justin Fields did last year, in addition to a guy in Kirk Cousins, who I think could legitimately just be a top 8 quarterback overall and be better than both of them. Legitimately, he actually could be better than both of them. I think that's a better swing, knowing that I get a production bundle of like DJ Moore plus Kirk Cousins and Anthony Richardson versus like Justin Fields versus plus whatever 9th, 10th round receivers you want to go after. They're probably not going to be very good options.
By the way, I'm starting to feel I'm not sure when it comes to this, but how do you evaluate Mark Andrews versus these quarterbacks? Because honestly, like going through Mark Andrews' 2022 game logs just got my eyes even more wide open to him. The fact that he should be an early 3rd round pick for every single person's rankings. How do you evaluate Mark Andrews versus the elite quarterbacks at the top? Because I do think it's tricky.
I'm definitely taking Hurts, Mahomes, Allen over him. I think it's a real conversation point when you get to Lamar versus Andrews, like the two teammates there.
Yeah,
I personally favor Lamar because the raw point production and value over replacement ceiling is higher.
That's fair.
Even though Mark Andrews could be, as good as Kelsey, maybe like, in 2021, he was the tight end 1 overall and he was a big time positional advantage. I still think that I would favor a guy like Lamar who can have like a 25 point per game ceiling. The object of this game is to score more points than your opponent. So for me, value over replacement of Lamar Jackson and potentially Burrow, if he wasn't hurt, is close there. So I know in my rankings, Andrews is ranked more in like the mid 3rd round range. If Breece Hall's healthy with no Dalvin Cook, I would still take Breece Hall over him. If Josh Jacobs is back at camp, I would still take Josh Jacobs over him. I would take Derrick Henry over him, to be honest, as well, and Ramondre Stevenson. But everybody that went after him other than that, I think Andrews would kind of fall around the like 306, 307 area for me, unless it's like a tight end premium format. Because like in my home league, it's a 1.5 it's a half point per first down for tight ends. So for that league format, I think Andrews is fine to go in the early 3rd.
Yeah, 100%. I'm back on the clock here, and I think I'm going to go Sky Moore. This is a guy that I think by the end of August might be a 6th, 7th round pick, depending on how the preseason looks. It already kind of seems like he's earned the number 1 job there, or at least first team snaps. And it sounds like for the most part, the top 3 wide receivers from the Chiefs so far, from a report I read, have been Sky Moore, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Justin Watson. I don't know how much credibility I should put into that, but all I'm going to say is if come week 1, Sky Moore is in 3 wide receiver sets with Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Justin Watson across from him. He may have 11 or 12 targets in that game. Those guys do not earn targets at all. And at least with Sky Moore, he has the profile to potentially be the number 2 weapon in that Chiefs offense. So 8-11 kind of feels like a very, very good value for the upside you could potentially get there with a young second-year wide receiver.
Yeah, and you probably reached a round and a half on where he actually goes right now. There's a good chance that he's never going this high just because there's so many like bullets flying out of Kansas City camp. It's like, oh, Rashee Rice looks great. Justin Ross looks great. This guy looks great. So it's possible. Like I absolutely believe the best receiver there is Sky Moore, but it's possible there's enough noise that it makes people like not interested in the situation altogether or only interested in the late round area.
The way I kind of viewed it is I had a tier. So basically, I was between Freiermuth and Njoku and Gibson with my other pick, and you just left the thing. Okay. I'll just give the viewers the rationale. I was between Njoku, Gibson, and Freiermuth for my other pick, so I wanted to get the upside of Sky Moore and take whatever fell there because I definitely want at least one wide receiver through my bench come round 9, typical Hero RB fashion.
Yeah, for sure. I just turned my camera back on. So
oh, that makes sense.
Purdy won like 10 games in a row, right? Yeah, he did pretty much. I mean, he played a couple taco defenses, but still he definitely operated the offense good. Bobcat says got offered Mark Andrews in a second for a 2024 and 2025
Start not makes it close. Start not makes it close because you want that tight end upside if you're a competitive team, but at the same time, if those are like random projected or middle projected first, I would have to go with the value of the first round picks. If those are like contending first and you're trying to push your chips in and get an elite advantage at tight end, I don't mind paying that price for Mark Andrews because I do think this is going to be a guy that can threaten for 16.5 plus PPR points per game this year, which, I mean, if you're doing the math, that's like getting a top 13, top 12 type of wide receiver.
Yeah, it's a non-tight end premium, and I'm assuming if you're making this move, you're a contender. So I would imagine those picks are your own and they're probably not early picks. Yep. So I think this is a fair trade for both sides. If the person who has Andrews is trying to rebuild, that makes sense for them. And if you are the contender trying to get Andrews, I think it makes sense for you. So pretty win-win type of trade there. Garrett Wilson plus a late first or Jamar Chase. I'll take Chase there.
Yeah. Give me Chase. What's your opinion on picking Chig in the late rounds, 14-man full PPR? It depends how late. If you're getting him as a mid-teen tight end, he's like tight end 16, tight end 17 off the board. I'm comfortable pulling the trigger around there. But if you're spending like tight end 12, tight end 13 price tag, there's just other guys in that range, Greg Dulcich, Dalton Kincaid, that I would rather have. The thing with Chigakonkwo is people are going to pull out, his per route efficiency, how dynamic he was with the ball in his hands. What I keep deferring back to is the fact that we're putting a lot of faith on a guy that had 48 targets last year in the 17 games he played, and they just added a big-time target weapon there with DeAndre Hopkins, a guy that can command for, a 28 plus 30 even % target share on that team. It's just tough for me to envision a scenario where Chigakonkwo has, 6.5 targets per game this year. And if I can't envision a scenario where he has 6.5 targets per game, and we already know inherently it's going to be on a bottom 6, bottom 5-ish type of offense, I just don't really see a path to him completely smashing his ADP.
Yeah, and as I talked about in the tight end league winners video, like when you're not the first or second target on your team, it becomes really difficult to smash, especially if your team is not throwing a lot. And I don't know if they're necessarily going to be a bottom 6 offense. I think they could be like a middle of the road offense, but still, if they're not throwing a ton, you don't want passing weapons. I would much rather have, like Danny said, Kincaid, Dulcich, all those guys, even guys going later. I would rather take a shot on Cole Kmet or Gerald Everett than I would on Chigakonkwo, to be honest. So I'm on the board here. Unfortunately, Anthony Richardson went right before me, but I do probably take a quarterback here because J-Rod doesn't have a QB yet. I want Cousins. I have conviction over him for Tua, so I grab Cousins there, and I'll probably wrap back around maybe with like a running back or something with my next pick here. What do we got? Any tips for convincing my league how to remove kickers and defenses? Tell them that they stink. I don't know. There's only other way.
The best way you can do it, I would say, is basically to go to them and say, listen, we can kind of, for the most part, predict quarterback play, running back play, wide receiver play, tight end play. We can't predict any given week when an offense is going to stall out and the kicker has 7 field goal attempts. We can't predict any given week where four INTs are going to bounce off wide receivers' hands and go into my defense's hands for interceptions. We can't predict a lot of the variance that happens from kickers and from defenses. So why not try to make it a game where we can predict as much. Again, we can't predict like everything, of course, in fantasy football. There's a lot of variance inherently anyways, but trying to limit the factors that we have to acknowledge the variance for, I would say is the best case scenario for me. So for me, at least I can, if I'm going to be wrong on a running back, wide receiver, or quarterback, or tight end, I can say, well, you know what? I had my process. It didn't work out at this point. It is what it is. With kickers and defenses, bro, you could have the worst defense in the NFL, get 4 or 5 interceptions in a week, and be the number 1 defense in fantasy. That's why I think it's very inconsistent.
Yeah, no, I just think they're stupid. Losing because like somebody scores a garbage time,
25 points,
lateral touchdown or whatever, like that Raiders touchdown that was scored last year. Like just imagine losing to that. Like it's just so stupid.
Story time. So in 2019, my team was dominant, but I always have a curse in my one home league where for whatever reason, like the semifinal is like my kryptonite. But this is the year when I won the championship where I got over the kryptonite in this specific league. I won that week because do you remember? You probably don't remember, but Philadelphia played the Washington Commanders.
Oh, I remember. I lost
week
that
16.
Week. Yeah.
Week 16. And they had a last-second touchdown because Washington had the kick return. They were throwing it around. The Eagles picked it up, returned it for a touchdown. I had the Eagles defense that week. And I also had the Cowboys played the Rams that week. And Todd Gurley got a garbage time 2-point conversion. And I won by 2 points. And I had both those factors. Keep in mind, we were the 2 highest scores that week, so my luck was still bad. I was the first seed, got the bye week and everything, and just so happens that the top 2 scores of that week was in my matchup. But lucky for me, I actually won that game. So, yeah, like I just mentioned how like I want to eliminate kickers and defenses because of the variance, but I just made a point where the variance worked in my favor there.
Yeah, for sure. Why is Purdy being drafted so low in Dynasty? I mean, it's because, yeah, he was a 7th round pick, and a lot of people still believe in Trey Lance to some degree. If Trey Lance got traded today, where would Brock Purdy go in Dynasty leagues, do you think? How much higher would he rise?
I mean, like, what's the difference between him and Kenny Pickett at that point?
Probably draft capital, but I think you could make the argument that Purdy's a better quarterback. So,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I think there's a legitimate case to be like, I'm long been high on Brock Purdy for like months now. Yeah. So I think he is going way too low in Dynasty leagues because the upside case is that you have a young quarterback attached to Kyle Shanahan and a great offense. So if we go into the season and Brock Purdy's the starter and he's doing what he did last year, maybe he's not winning every single game because that's not really sustainable, but he looks like a young franchise quarterback. This guy's going to be like a 4th round startup pick next year. And even though he doesn't run, like he's still going to be a high pick. So for me, I've been snapping up all the Purdy I can get. Like I know in one league, Spicy Hot traded me Brock Purdy and a first next year for CJ Stroud.
Yeah, no,
I think it was actually, sorry, it was Brock Purdy, a first and a second, I think is what it was.
And you which one did you get?
I gave up CJ Stroud. He gave me Brock Purdy, a first and a second, I think was the end, what the trade ended up being. Actually,
which league?
In the, I think it was the Too Lazy to Set lineups where my team was like awful.
Got you. Okay. I didn't even remember that. Wow. You still have Bijan on that team, but you can't sell. Exactly. Is that the league you still have Bijan in, but you can't sell him?
Yeah, that would be correct. Oh, wait, sorry. No, this is what the trade was. I gave him a first next year, the 201, and a 2024 second. He gave me CJ Stroud and Brock Purdy. That's what the trade was.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Who's the odd one out in my PPR 5-keeper league? Hurts, Chubb, Stevenson, Lamb, or Ridley. So, I mean, let's break this down real quick. You're keeping the guys that can legitimately win you your league. So let's go Hurts, Chase, Lamb, or the locked and loaded keepers. You probably got to keep Chubb because he's my highest rated running back there. And I have Ridley rated ahead of Stevenson. So for me personally, I'd probably go with this is a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver. A question mark here. In this type of format where there's 5 keepers, I have Ridley ahead of Stevenson, but they're pretty close to my rankings. Now in a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex format, do you then favor having 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers as your keepers? Or do you just go with your best player available? Do you go with Ridley and have 3 wide receivers and 1 running back from structural
Honestly,
standpoint?
I think I'm just going to take the guys that are going highest in drafts. So I'm going to go Chase, Lamb, Chubb, and Ridley. But you could probably talk me into Hurts over Ridley, to be honest.
Oh, I'm going Hurts for sure, but you get to keep 5. There's only 1 that you don't keep.
So Chase, Chubb, Lamb, automatic keepers for me. Then it comes down to Hurts, Stevenson, and Ridley. I think the odd one out for me would probably be Stevenson, just given that the Dalvin Cook and stuff like swirling rumors are going on. That's probably who the odd one out. But if nobody signs there, then maybe Ridley is the odd man out. But either way, I think you're in a pretty good spot regardless.
Yep. What should I do?
By the way, I turned the clock up to 30 seconds just so we could get through the rest of the draft faster, so we could start one more before we got to get out of here. So
for sure,
let's try and get the picks off quick so we can do another one.
Now the question is, do you want to make the next one 30-second clocks and see if we can squeeze 2?
Well, I have to leave. I'm going on vacation this weekend, so I have to leave for like 12:30, 1 o'clock. So I'm probably only gonna have time for one anyway.
Sounds good. Okay. What should I do in a league that massively pushes quarterbacks and tight ends up the board to fill out their roster? I should take best value, but I can't have too bad of a positional disadvantage at the onesies. So you know what you do in that format is you get elite onesies and you let everybody else try to catch up to you while you scoop up value. That's kind of how I would view it.
Starting the runs would definitely be really helpful for you. If you notice that a quarterback or tight end hasn't gone for like a round and a half or something like that, starting a run on the different tier breaks will definitely be helpful for you. And if you have our manifesto, then you'll definitely see where our tier breaks are. So if you see, that like Hurts, Mahomes, and Allen already went off the board and you're picking out like the end of the 4th round or the end of the 3rd round even, and Lamar and Burrow haven't gone, then you start the run for Lamar or Burrow, and then the rest of the quarterbacks will start coming off the board. And same goes for tight ends too. Our biggest targets at tight end and quarterback are still going to be the same. It's just you might need to take them a little bit earlier.
Yeah, because at the end of the day,
I also probably wouldn't prioritize getting both. I'm okay having a positional disadvantage, let's say at tight end, grabbing a Dolchich or a Freiermuth late, and not having. Am I about to be fired? I'm about to be fired.
Wow. You got the knucklehead too.
Would have picked him. I honestly probably would have picked him at this point in the draft.
I know he's just a Bush staple of calling Kadarius Toney a knucklehead.
He is a knucklehead, but I'll take him at the 11-11. Like, I'll take that. So I'm going to need to probably fill out some more running backs with this team. I got a pretty strong wide receiver core. I got my 4 starters plus Elijah Moore and Toney for upside, if you want to call Toney an upside play. Wide receivers probably done for me in this draft. I probably won't draft anymore, but I'll probably be hammering out some running backs. So what else we got? Morning, boys. What's going on, Steven? What is the greatest fantasy risk you've ever taken, dynasty and redraft wise? Redraft wise, the biggest risk I've taken was I took Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 6th overall in my draft in 2020. I won the league somehow. Don't ask me how, but I still won the league because I was able to make great trades.
Didn't you trade him for Kamara?
I did. I traded for Kamara, who scored 6 touchdowns on Christmas to help me win the league. And I traded for A.J. Brown throughout that season as well. And I picked Brandon Ayuk and T. Higgins up as rookies off of the waiver wire, or one of them off the waiver wire. The other one I think I traded for. But
I mean, the biggest risk that paid off for me, I would say, is CMC going into his 2nd year in a keeper league. I got at the 201 in my draft. And if you don't remember what happened, so 2017 was his rookie year. 2018, he finished as the running back 2 behind Saquon Barkley. 2019, he was legitimately the best fantasy running back of all time. And going into the 2020 season, of course, I won the league in 2019. In 2020, because it was a keeper league, I traded off of him before the year for Jonathan Taylor plus. And obviously, Jonathan Taylor outscored him in the year because CMC got hurt.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Another risk that I took that like really worked out for me. So in 2017, I had the 2nd overall pick. The 1st overall pick guy, we drafted before Ezekiel Elliott got suspended, and he's a huge Cowboys fan. So he took Ezekiel Elliott 1st overall in 2017. I took Lev Bell over David Johnson. David Johnson was the consensus 101 that year, and obviously missed like 15 games with a wrist injury. So I took Le'Veon Bell that year, 2nd overall, even though like everybody probably took David Johnson 1st overall, and I had him on the board for me at 2nd overall.
Yeah, no, that was a good value there for you.
Dynasty wise, I'm trying to think like big risks that I've taken.
It's kind of tricky,
bad ones, like for sure. I took a huge risk on a contending team with Christian McCaffrey, and I ended up trading Josh Allen before his breakout. So that was probably the fucking worst dynasty trade I ever made in my life.
That was with Carry On. I remember that. Yeah, dude, I remember that was one of the first trades you made because that was like right when we started the channel. I remember we went.
Oh no, that wasn't the Carry On trade. No, the trade. Oh. This trade was I traded I traded for Christian McCaffrey, Jameis Winston, and Chris Godwin. I think it was for Joe Mixon and Josh Allen. And Joe Mixon had a great season the next year, and Josh Allen obviously became who he is now. He was not a good quarterback at the time though when I traded him.
Agreed. By the way, I'm making the Jeff Wilson pick, assuming, obviously late August, they haven't added to the running back room. I think he could have a nice role there. So getting Jeff Wilson at the 12-11. And by the way, quick note, this is the biggest difference I find between bog standard managed redraft versus best ball. in this range, the 11 to like 14 range, you're going to have some wide receivers like Shaheed, who's going to have some spike weeks, Chark, who's going to have some spike weeks, Michael Gallup, guys like that are really nice in best ball because of that weekly ceiling. But in managed, I just kind of want no part of them. But unfortunately, because at the 13-2, there's not really much on the board anyways, I'm probably just going to have to go against that and actually take Michael Gallup because the board is kind of gross. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, the really shitty thing about
Mims is there.
Yeah, you should have taken Mims. The really shitty thing about redraft is that like you have no idea when to start guys like Michael Gallup, right? And like you said in best ball, you can just draft 7 or 8 of those guys and know that they'll give you some spike weeks. When it comes to like roster construction, I pretty much want to have like 2 more wide receivers than you can reasonably start in a given week. So if you can start up to 4 wide receivers, I'd like to have 6 by round 10 or 11 and then be done at that position. Because there's like realistically Zay Jones, Rondale Moore, guys like this, Chase Claypool, like how much are these guys really going to impact your team? I would much rather take a shot on, Chase Brown, Gus Edwards, Tajay Spears, the guys that just went off the board. And also, like at quarterback, Ski take Sam Laporta and Kyler Murray. I'd rather take risks on those positions as well than I would take like these safer or like upside wide receiver shots because these guys just simply don't hit at a high rate. Like wide receivers, if they were any good, they'd be going in round 10 or earlier.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, I know. I would have taken Mims. I just didn't notice him, but appreciate that.
Wow, Joe Mixon. I take Joe Mixon because Burrow will be out for a little bit.
I think he'll play week 1.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think Burrow's playing week 1. Second of all, Joe Mixon sucks. And if Cincinnati relies on Joe Mixon, they're going to fucking be punting every 4th down. So I highly doubt that's going to be the case, personally.
If the Bengals relied upon Joe Mixon as the source of their offense, they would have the 32nd best offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
I just said 33rd and then just saying there's only 32 teams, but you guys get the point. It will not be a functional offense.
I'm really pissed that Kyler was off the board because I was hoping I could pair Kyler with Cousins and get a little upside swing that way. I'm on the clock here. Zeke, Jerome Ford, like the running back. I actually am also pissed that Mostert just went to because I just got fired again, didn't I? I'll take Rodgers. I'll take him as a second quarterback. Whatever.
By the way, I think we missed this, but Gibson or Robinson, I would slightly prefer Gibson, but I do think that whoever's cheaper is going to be my answer. In a lot of these sleeper, I mean, if we're looking right here, they went 9-1, 903. At that point, I would take Gibson because I do think he has more of a 3-down skill set. But on underdog, Gibson goes like 2 rounds earlier, and at that point, give me the opportunity cost of Robinson there every single time.
Yeah, I prefer Robinson straight up at cost because even if they went in this draft, they went like basically in the same round. I would prefer Robinson just because he has the goal line role, and I think his role is a little bit more secure. I think Gibson will be a little bit more volatile week to week, but on a site like Underdog, obviously you don't have to worry about that because it's best ball. So I think Gibson makes a little bit more sense in that type of format.
Yep. Full PPR, I'm in the 8th spot. I'm thinking taking Diggs or Barkley. Would you go and what would you do second round? Get somebody like Chubb or St. Brown? I personally, out of all those 4 options, would go with Diggs and St. Brown because they're my 2 highest ranked players overall. Personally, I have Diggs as my 4th overall player. I have Amon St. Brown as my 11th overall player, which is both higher than Chubb and Barkley for me. So I would just start 0 RB.
By the way,
let's go Olszewski. That is a nice
real
pick.
quick on Jordan's question here. What are your thoughts on like if Jordan's in a league format where like the running back position is going to dry up really quickly? Do you just tend to lean into the 0 RB and go Diggs and St. Brown? Or do you maybe just get yourself one anchor and then be done with it and be like, hey, you know what? It's a close discussion. My league's very high on running backs. Maybe I take Nick Chubb over St. Brown and I take Diggs in the first round. And then I'm like, I can hero RB it with Nick Chubb.
I don't mind the rationale. It's just I just think it's egregious differences between the running backs and wide receivers at question here. Again, not compared
Chubb
to their
and St. Brown, I don't think is an egregious difference. I have Chubb ranked at 12 and St. Brown at 10. So, those guys are pretty close for me.
Chubb and St. Brown are closer for me. I think I have St. Brown at 11. I think I have Chubb at about 15 or 16. So I guess if you want to take Chubb in that scenario, that's fine. It's more so just the Diggs and Barkley. I have Diggs literally as a top of the first round type of player, and I have Barkley as an early to mid second round type of player. So for me personally, I just think Diggs at the 8th spot, no matter what, if he's there, I'm going to be taking him because this is a guy I'd be comfortable taking at 4th overall.
Yeah, for sure. I'll rip through some questions. Do you want to make another draft and then we'll get some people in here? Fire away in the comments. What do you guys want to see? Do you guys want to see a 10-teamer? Do you want to see a 12-team half PPR? Do you want to see what's up?
Yeah, just let us know.
Let us know in the comments. I'll let you look through the bottom of the comment section while you're making the draft there. Heard a lot of hype on Keenan Allen from some people due to his good finish last year. You only not drafting him because of injury. So here's the thing. Yeah, that's basically the basis of why I'm not drafting him, which is injury risk. But that's also kind of shitty process. So like, I don't want to completely.
I guess, but
I don't know, man.
Bush, at the end of the day, like, because I went through his CGL yesterday, he was still like a back end wide receiver one. He's still a good player. What I keep coming back to, and maybe it's bad of me because, you shouldn't let people from the past hurt you for the future, but the profile reminds me so fucking much of a profile of Michael Thomas that I was smashing the draft button on last year that I just don't want to take that type of archetype, the older slot wide receiver, not really dynamic working down the field at that opportunity cost. I would rather take the upside shots on some guys like, I know obviously Calvin Ridley, but even like Jerry Jeudy.
Well, his teammates are a perfect example. Like, just give me Mike Williams in the 5th, 6th round versus Keenan Allen in the 3rd round, or give me QJ in the 9th round or whatever over him. Yeah. He actually, the archetype that he reminds me a lot of is Larry Fitzgerald in 2018.
I remember
Larry Fitzgerald was a solidified wide receiver 1 the year before, and I took Larry Fitzgerald over fucking Tyreek Hill that year because I was scared of, taking risk in my draft. So I just was like, oh, I'm going to take the safe option. And that ended up being stupid. And same goes with Allen Robinson last year. I was like, oh, give me the safe option. And when these guys, Julio Jones 2 years ago, like, I just don't want these older wide receivers. So yeah, most of the reason I'm fading him is like health and age concerns, but I think it's easily going to be the downfall of him if he doesn't hit.
At the end of the day, this for whatever it is, if you guys watch baseball, you'll understand the analogy. I would rather the guy that can get me the home run than I would the guy that can just pretty much guarantee me a single. Because at the end of the day, if you want to get on base, you get the single, whatever, that's advantageous for a baseball game. But I'd rather the 1/3 of a chance he swings for a homer and actually impacts the scoreline than just getting on base and getting a single for me. I know, like, not the perfect analogy, but that's kind of how I look at Keenan Allen. If he hits, cool. Like, he barely pays off at ADP. Maybe he's getting drafted the wide receiver 18 right now on Underdog, and he finishes as the wide receiver 12 or 13. That's fine. That's a solid pick. But at 3rd round opportunity cost, we see every year guys go from maybe a wide receiver 21, 22, 23 projection to finishing in the top 10. Or at running back, a guy who's being drafted as the RB12 off the board now has the potential to be a top 5 pick. You're taking Keenan Allen in the same range. So for me personally, it's just an opportunity cost thing, and understanding that I am always going to weigh the ceiling range of outcome in the early portion of my draft before anything. And the biggest fugazi, the biggest fake news that is your guys are going to hear in terms of fantasy football media, fantasy football content in general, is that you can't lose your draft in the first few rounds. Or sorry, you can't win your draft in the first few rounds, but you can lose it. So they make that as a proclamation to take these safe players. For me personally, every single year, the biggest wins over replacement players are guys going early in your drafts. You need to be able to strike down and make the correct picks early. Not just guys that'll pay off, but guys that can legitimately win your leagues. Guys like 2019 Christian McCaffrey. Guys like, even Cooper Kupp in round 5 a couple years ago. Even if it's Justin Jefferson at the end of the 2nd round or just 2 years ago. It's the same type of format, right? You want guys that can legitimately make a difference and be top end producers at their position. And for me, Keenan Allen kind of just feels like you're settling.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to shoot for a back end wide receiver 1 projection, take Waddle, Smith, or Higgins. They're younger. Keenan Allen's almost like the equivalent of like a safe running back who's older as well. It's like taking Derrick Henry. It's like, Derrick Henry's probably going to be a low-end RB1 if he's healthy, maybe a mid RB1 if he's healthy. But do I want to draft him? Not really. It's like Keenan Allen, even though he's a wide receiver, has like the same injury risk as like some of these running backs do. So draft looks like it's filling up. If you want to share your screen, I can rip through some more comments here. We are doing a 3 wide receiver 2 flex, I believe. This time, some people said, can we do super flex in here? We'll probably do that on a separate stream at a different point in time, but we'll get to just like a 2 wide or 3 wide receiver 2 flex here. What else we got here? Thoughts on Chase over Jefferson at the 101? I kind of already talked about it. I would say in a full PPR, I'm taking Jefferson, but if there's big play bonuses, half PPR type of format, I might take Chase there.
Yeah, I just want to say appreciate the comment there, Averice, and also Payne. Gibson, we already went through that. I skipped down by accident. That's why. Bill Maher won some games for me last year.
Brett Maher, you mean? Bill Maher.
Funny enough with Brett Maher, dude, I don't think anybody realizes just how good he was until the end of the season. He made like 94% of his field goals throughout like the first 16 weeks and then just completely fucking imploded the last week of the year in the playoff games. It made no fucking sense because he was genuinely a very fucking good kicker going into the back end of the season. But of course, given the back end of the year with the extra points he missed, with the field goals he missed, you can't bring him back, unfortunately, because of how the fan base is going to react. But like, look up his stats, dude. He was actually fucking making a ton of his kicks.
Yeah, no, he was good, but like he absolutely imploded, like you said. Cool Kid says 10-team super flex, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, and a flex. Pick 9. Should I go quarterback, or wide receiver, wide receiver? I mean, you go best player available. Like you got to stack up your board and make sure you're going best player available. We'll be adding super flex rankings to our redraft rankings manifesto 2.0 at some point. A lot more super flex talk than I thought. I didn't realize a lot of you guys played in super flex redraft leagues, but yeah, I mean, if the best available players are elite quarterbacks sliding to you there at the pick 9, then I'm cool going with those. And if they're all flying off the board, then I'm cool going with wide receivers at that point in time because you might still get, Chase or Hill or whatever at that 9 spot.
Yep. No, I dig that. By the way, quick note. So Brett Maher attempted 32 field goal attempts last year. Guess how many he made?
Probably like 30.
29. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we need one more person to start this draft. One more of you join up. The link is in the chat at about 12:02 p.m., 12:03 p.m. or something like that. I put it in there. So one more person joins up, and then we can start this thing and get her going. Starting a new league with some friends this year. How many bench spots do you suggest for a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league? 5 or 6 probably.
Yeah. 6.
And so for big play bonuses, what we do in my home league is you get 1 point for a 40+ yard reception and you get 2 points for a 40+ yard touchdown. That's the bonuses that we have.
Yep. By the way, nobody mentioned the roster settings for those wondering, I just kind of changed it a little bit. I made it a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league. So last time it was a 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, just added a wide receiver spot so we have some more variance in the draft. Should I get rid of a bench spot or should I keep 3?
No, you can leave it 3. We can cut it off if we need to. Okay. All right, let's get her going here. 12-team super flex rebuilding team. I sent away Sutton, McKinnon, a 3rd for Burks. Yeah, that's a great move. Yeah, get yourself a young rebuilding wide receiver in Traylon Burks. Probably got him on the low because of the Hopkins news there. So that's a good move for you there, Landon.
So interesting.
Okay, I'll answer this in a second. Did we just get the exact same shit happen?
Did you pick 110 last draft?
I picked at 111, but like we basically are drafting the same shit again.
Wow, that is hilarious. We'll try to spice it up. We won't have the same exact teams that each other had last draft, but I will say that is more like where I expect Bijan Robinson to go. 103 to 105 is like the sweet pocket, I would say, for Bijan, because honestly, the more I think about it, like Hill, Diggs, Bijan, depending on what your team or your league obviously looks like, I don't mind getting access to the legendary upside. Like I don't mind taking him as high. Even I know I mentioned 4th or 5th overall, but genuinely, if you're in an RB heavy room, bro, and you got the potential to start a running back run and get a guy, the only guy that has a 25 point per game ceiling, I don't mind taking that at 3rd overall.
Yeah, dude, I want a guy that can legit post a 20% win rate, and I think Bijan's the only guy in the 1st round outside of Jefferson and Chase that can do it.
Yeah. So I still view him in a tier with Hill and Diggs, but like if you want to take him 3rd, you want to take him 4th, you want to take him 5th, I view those guys as interchangeable for me.
Yeah, and honest to God, dude, like I'm in my league right now, I pick 4th, and I'm potentially going to try and slide down, I think. I pick 4th in my home league. I might ask my league mates, hey, do you guys want like the guy who picks 5, the guy who picks 6? I might be like, do you want to switch spots? Because I think I'm going to get Bijan there very comfortably.
Now, what if you do that and then they take Bijan? You will not be able to live
Diggs or Hill.
That's fair, actually. Okay,
so you're I don't have to make the decision then. You know what I mean?
Got you. Okay, that makes sense. I was just saying, like,
I'd be willing to go is 5 or 6. Like, I'm not going to go any further than that. But I think it's worth it. Like, I mean, if it's the difference between my 2nd round pick being Tony Pollard or Jalen Waddle, I think it was worthwhile. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I don't mind that.
Or Garrett Wilson and Jalen Waddle, like, because Garrett Wilson I've seen on sleeper slide to like the mid-2nd round or whatever. And if I get Garrett Wilson instead of Jalen Waddle because I slid down a pick or 2 to pick Bijan, I think that's definitely a worthwhile move.
By the way, I don't want to like basically copy your team because you had Amonra and Adams last draft, but like Adams is the clear cut next best player for me. So
Yeah, I
Devontae
mean, you could
Adams.
have gone full homer mode and taken Pollard there as well.
I mean, to be fair, so AJ Brown's already off the board. I have Devontae Adams as my 13th overall player, and I have Tony Pollard as my 15th. So there's not that big of a difference, to be honest, for me.
Yeah.
Though I
Also,
will say
Bobcat
Devontae
asked
Adams
if we're
is
interested in a Madden league. Once I get Madden, maybe we can
game.
discuss this. Honestly, I have no idea when that. I don't even know when the game's coming out, but we'll definitely.
The game should be
down.
coming out within like the next week or two now.
Yeah, probably. What's the plan for redraft leagues this year? Okay, so the plan, we actually haven't announced this yet. We are going to be doing a listener redraft league. We thought about doing it. We're going to be in Buffalo about 2 weeks from now. I thought about doing it then. I don't even know if I've told you this, Danny. I don't think I want to do it then because I want it to be its own separate thing. And while we're in Buffalo, I want to be, obviously doing underdog drafts and that kind of thing. So I think if we do our listener redraft league, and we'll obviously stream that for those of you guys that get into that league, we're going to probably do that maybe like August 21st, August 23rd area of the summer. And if you guys want to be in that league, of course, there's multiple ways that you can get in. You can be a site subscriber. We'll pull up our list of all of our site subscribers and do a raffle, or you can use our underdog code. Anybody who uses our underdog code in the year 2023, and anybody who has signed up for our site for either a annual or a monthly subscription will have access to potentially be into our listener redraft league. So if you want to get access, if you want to have a chance to be in the league with us, definitely go ahead and check out both of those things. And obviously you get our rankings manifestos if you're a member of either of those things too. So good option there for you. So
hey boys, thoughts on trading Garrett Wilson, JMO, and Juwan Johnson for Metcalf, Addison, D-Hop in a second? As much, honestly, is this enough for Wilson on your for you?
No, I'd rather have Wilson.
I think I would too. And then when you combine JMO, let's just say for E's sake, JMO and Juwan Johnson more or less equals D-Hop in a second. Then it's Metcalf and Addison for Wilson. I'd rather Wilson.
Yeah, give or take.
That's a good trade, like to consolidate down your roster. You said you want to go from a pretender to contender. That's going to be a really good trade to get you there, in my opinion. So I like that trade a lot. Bush, Danny, do you guys try to cap your exposure to any one player on underdog? I've heard Mason say he stays under 20%. For us, it's kind of more periodic when we're going to flatten out our rates, because we live obviously in Ontario. So a lot of our basis right now has been in slow drafts. We can't just hop on a draft whenever we want to flatten out our exposures. So my exposures right now are a lot higher than I want them to be. But of course, once we go in August, I'm going to try to flatten them out. 20% is a good number. I would say the max I would want for a player is maybe if they're a late round guy, I'd be comfortable taking 25 to 28. But for the most part, for guys in the mid to early portions, I would say 20% is probably the cap.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'd say anybody that's going before round 6 to 8, I would say 20% is about the highest I'd want to be on somebody. But anybody going round 10 to 15 plus, I'm cool up in a 30% range. I don't really care, to be honest, because at that point in the draft, if my 34% of Josh Downs shares have miss, which is how much I have, or my 31%
16th, 17th round
shares
cost.
miss, the opportunity cost isn't high. And the upside case that if Chase Brown becomes the starting running back at any point, even if it's for like 4 or 5 games for the Bengals, that's going to pay off big time at ADP. And me having 31% Chase Brown looks really smart. So I'm much more likely to have that conviction in my late picks than I am in my early picks.
Well, if you're thinking about it from a pure usable week standpoint, guys that you pick in the first 6 to 7 rounds, you're typically relying upon to give you at least 6 or 7, maybe 8 usable weeks. A guy you're taking round 16, 17, 18. If they make your lineup 2 or 3 times during the year, that's about as good as you can hope for. And then, of course, you have the rare scenario. Joe Mixon gets hurt and Chase Brown's the starting running back for 5 or 6 weeks. Not only did it pay off at ADP, but at round 17 opportunity cost, round 16 opportunity cost, you're smashing at ADP because you're probably getting RB2 usability again for 6, 7 weeks at that point. Realistically, if it's a guy like KJ Osborne last year got like 3 usable weeks, he was a good late round pick. If they're giving you, 3 such weeks of 15 plus half PPR points at any given point of the year, then it's a good pick at that range.
Yeah, I'm going to experiment with something. So normally in a draft, I probably wouldn't have taken Jacobs there, but because this is a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league, I want to see how my team looks by going double hero RB. But normally I probably would have gone Devontae Smith at that point. And because, the format in the league, market dictates that you probably want to be heavy on wide receivers. I just want to see how my team looks. This is why we do mock drafts, obviously.
Yep. By the way, I appreciate the super sticker there, Daniel.
Oh, yeah. If you have a question, feel free to leave it and we'll skip ahead to
Yep,
it.
for
For
sure.
Dynasty, I already have 4 first-round picks. What should I try and trade Gibbs for? I'd be willing to give up a first and a second or a first and another piece for Jahmyr Gibbs, assuming
He's
you're
trading
in a
him away.
position potentially to compete. I probably wouldn't trade for Gibbs if you're rebuilding, but if you're in a competitive / house money type of situation, I'm cool giving up a first and a second or a first plus.
He's asking what should I try to trade Gibbs for? So I'm assuming he has Gibbs.
Oh, okay. So if you have Gibbs, I would want if you're a house
At
money
least 2
team
ones.
or close to a contender, I would probably just hold Gibbs. I would package Gibbs in a 2 for 2 first, probably is what I would be looking to do.
Yeah, or in some markets, you might be able to get 2-1 straight up, and I'd be comfortable doing that. I agree with you there. So Daniel actually does leave a comment here. I'm picking 10 in a 10-man league, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. My ideal scenario would be CD and Stephon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs might be gone. Good chance Kelsey is available. Would you rather CD Amon or CD Kelsey? So I actually have Kelsey 1 spot ahead of CD Lamb, or CD Lamb, Amon or St. Brown. In a 3 wide receiver league, you might favor the wide receiver, but honestly, I feel like in a 10-man, I would rather the upside of getting that elite onesie with Kelsey. So for me personally, I would go with CD and Kelsey because, again, 10-man format, I want the positional advantage there of a tight end.
Yeah, agreed. You're on the clock again here as well.
Yep. Wide receiver, what's available?
Appreciate you. Is K Bush FM my radio station?
You know what? I never take Debo, but ETN's available, right? ETN. No, ETN's not available. Fuck. Debo. Fuck it. I panicked.
Look at this guy's name. It's like if I had a radio station, K Bush FM.
Let's go.
Seen some other challenges have Chase as the 7th, 8th best player on the board, especially with Burrow. Yeah, they need to chill out. He's going to be fine.
That's ridiculous.
Okay, this is a funny one. I used to have this as one of my prompts on my dating apps when I was single. My worst first date, when I was 18 years old, I had a girl break out in tears because she was on the rebound on my first. Like, it was literally, I'm not even shitting you, it was the first date I'd ever been on from like dating apps. And this girl, like within 5-10 minutes of the date, broke out like bawling her eyes out on the date because she had just broken up with her boyfriend. I think he like cheated on her or something as well. So like really bad. Like I don't know what the hell she was doing on a date that soon. But the funny part was that the wait staff, like my waitress, she thought that I was the one who caused this. Like she thought I was making this girl cry. And eventually she kind of realized that like, I'm just this poor guy that like got stuck on a date with this girl on a rebound. And I thought that was fucking hilarious, to be honest. So thankfully that's definitely the funniest dating story I have. Like I used to have that as like one of my dating app prompts because it used to say like worst first date. And I was like, had a girl break out in tears. So that wasn't very fun, but thankfully I don't have to go on dates anymore. Dating apps with random people.
I'm not gonna lie, you've been on way more dates than I have. I've only been on a handful, and realistically, like nothing out of the ordinary has happened. To be quite honest, like I actually don't have like a bad story to reflect on. I know that's a boring answer, but like when you're only dealing with a handful, like it's kind of hard to pick one when they were all pretty good.
So. Yeah, for sure. Brody says 12 team half people. Oh yeah, we were just asking about the formats here. What else we got here? Cool Kid says, I'm on the clock. Okay. Hawkinson is interesting at this point in the draft. He's usually not on the board, but I know this guy is Andrews behind me, so I might take him on the way back. But I also am really behind the 8 ball at wide receiver right now, so I really got to get one. I would say.
You don't want Joe Mixon?
No, I do not. On the board right now, I think my highest rated wide receiver is Brandon Ayuk. I think I'm going to go with McLaurin. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to take a tight end on the way back. I think I'm probably going to end up going with Ayuk unless Ahmad DeBaby just fucking snipes me here.
Real talk though, it's funny. I just read Brody's. If Danny doesn't have a bad story, he is someone's bad story. I will quickly show this because I read a tweet earlier that fucking like completely like I felt attacked on, but drinking a sports bar, having a medium ugly guy mansplain football to me while I rack up his tab with vodka sodas could fix me, and it's like, fuck, is that how I come off on people? No.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta improve those skills, my man.
No, it wasn't about me, but like I felt attacked because I feel like that's something I would do. Just start mansplaining fucking football on a date while drinking a bunch of drinks, not paying attention to the tab.
Yeah, man. Okay, so I'm in a real crossroads here. I don't know if I want to go with TJ Hawkinson here. I think I can't. I honestly I'm gonna be too high behind the 8 ball at wide receiver if I do. So I'm gonna grab a guy that I think is a good option here. I'll take Chris Godwin. In a full PPR, I kind of at this point I need some target share guys to anchor out my lineup.
So real quickly too, we're seeing some Superflex comments. Honestly, next stream you want to work in a Superflex redraft league?
Yeah, no, I honestly like I thought a lot of you guys
down.
be playing in one quarterback leagues. Also, third round reversal and redraft is extremely strange unless you're talking about
they do that.
startup.
They do that on NFFC. It's third round reversal because I was watching a Ron stream actually, and he had the 101, and then he would have the 212 and the 312. And honestly, God, some of the teams he built on that site, because it's a more like boomerish type of site, dude, some of the 3-4 turns looked like 2-3 turns. So he was getting like 3-2-3 turn caliber players for the price of 2 because he had the third round reversal mixed in.
Yeah, I mean, like in that format though, I think I would much rather have a late pick because then you can stack up a bunch of wide receivers and still and you can get yourself an elite like 301 caliber at. Like imagine starting your draft of Monra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, and anchoring your running back core with Breece Hall or something, or with Josh Jacobs, or going another wide receiver and grabbing Calvin Ridley or one of the elite quarterbacks or something.
Yeah, facts. Damn it, Andrew. I was trying to not look at Mike Williams' name so nobody picked him, bro.
Highest. Okay, so Joshua, this question will literally depend on my mood that morning because I go back and forth on Bijan versus Tyreek like on a daily basis. I would say half PPR scoring formats or any format like my home league where you get half point per first downs for rushing for running backs, I'll take Bijan. If it's a full PPR, no bonuses for running backs, I will take Tyreek.
By the way, I love how I said, yeah, I'm not just going to copy you, and then I just proceed to do a fucking 0 RB.
Yeah, well, I did a hero last time because Ramondre fell back to me.
Oh, yeah, fair.
A lot of people are very low on T. Higgins, saying he doesn't have enough workload to be a wide. He has enough workload to be a wide receiver 1, just not a high-end wide receiver 1, unless Chase were to get injured. So if you're going to go with a safe option at the early portion of round 3, don't take Keenan Allen, take T. Higgins, because he's the same kind of projection as far as like ceiling case, except he's younger, so he doesn't have as much of like injury concerns.
Yep, I agree. By the way, we got the wide receiver piss boys in the draft right now. I'm thankful that I got my fucking 3 wide receivers early because, Jesus, you guys are rinsing me dry. With that being said, we do see him go off the board at the 4-11 the last draft. At the 6-3, that's where I'm comfortable just snagging in the profile of a guy like Dobbins, making it into a hero. Again, I'm not going to venture into the dead zone quite often, but when I can start with 3 stud wide receivers, an elite advantage at quarterback and an elite advantage at tight end, getting J.K. Dobbins to handle my hero RB role, I think, is more than fine.
Yeah, if you're going to venture into the dead zone, get it at a value for a young stud's possible there. Traded Jefferson for Bijan, a first and a second on a 1-year punt. My league mates got pissed AF. Depends where that one is. I think I'd slightly prefer Jefferson if that's a late first, but if that's a mid first, I think Bijan, a mid first and a mid second is probably adequate value for Jefferson. They're like, they literally go within a pick or two of like startups usually.
For reference too, like that's definitely not something your league mates should get pissed off at. I might prefer Jefferson because of the wide receiver versus running back structure factor at hand. But if it's a 1-year punt, you have strong wide receivers, you want to get an extra first, maybe for buying power, or to potentially, maybe it's a mid-range first, deal in the draft or draft a running back then and build out your running back core. I don't necessarily think it's quote unquote selling low, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm on the same page there. I'm praying to God that there's a certain player that gets to me on this turn. I'm picking 10 in a 10-man league, 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex. My ideal scenario would be. Oh, we did? Okay.
Yeah, that was a super question that I answered. We answered. We both said CD Kelsey.
So Landon, we could do this if we recapped a mock that we are, or an actual draft, but we wouldn't be able to do an actual dynasty draft mock with trades on stream. But we probably should have done more of this, to be honest, throughout the summer, throughout the winter and spring, which was recap some of the leagues that we did.
I mean, honestly, we just didn't think you guys wanted to see it for the most part. That's kind of why we haven't done it. We're like, oh, if you want to see some stuff on our leagues, we absolutely will. We did some like my own dynasty decisions. We went through that. And actually, oddly enough, the No Flockin' League that we started up this summer with members of the Flock Fantasy site that used our code, myself and Mason actually broke down some of our favorite values in that draft. Spoiler alert, I had some like really nice values, so we talked about some of my picks, and some people.
So did I. I got Pollard in like round 9 of that startup.
Mason actually mentioned that.
Oh, your mic just cut out on me there. You said you still can't hear you.
I was going to say Mason actually mentioned the Pollard pick, I believe, because you got him like round 7 or something like that.
I got him in like round 8 or 9, I'm pretty sure. And nobody wants him right now. I'm a rebuilding team, and nobody wants my Tony Pollard pick. Like he's like, we got a top 2-round redraft asset that I can't move in Dynasty right now.
I'll take him. I just don't have the liquidity you're looking for. That's the only problem.
I just need all I want is picks or young players, and nobody's giving me either of them. So
okay, I'll hit you up after the draft, and we could probably figure something out.
Yeah, my team in this mock is looking kind of interesting right now. Again, I probably don't go with Jacobs most of the time. I just wanted to see how a double hero would look in this type of like really deep wide receiver heavy format. But I don't mind the way that it's kind of shaken out. I got Jacobs and Brees to kind of anchor my team. Don't love like the offenses that I invested in. Maybe I would have gone a different direction with like better offensive production because I have like, I got to rely on the Washington, Tampa Bay, and I actually took 2 Washington receivers, which I didn't even notice, to be honest. But either way, I think the team is built out pretty decent. A league where you can start up to 5 wide receivers, I think I can fill out my wide receiver core pretty nicely.
Yep. What's a hill you will die on? Not fantasy related. I'll let you take it away first because I gotta think honestly.
Hill that I'll die on, not fantasy related.
I mean, let's try to keep it like non-politics related, of course.
I'll take baseball's absolute trash as a hill that I'll die on.
That's a bad hill to die on, man. Playoff baseball is electric.
Playoff baseball is not bad, and I'll watch the Jays when they're in the playoffs, but regular season baseball is actual trash. So,
you're going to call me greasy for this, but I've watched my fair share of Sox games this year. They're what, 58 and 51 right now? I've watched a decent amount. To be fair, it's more so like just in the background because it's on during the day, and maybe I'll fucking like put it on like in the background so I can hear it. But like I've paid pretty decent attention to it, to be honest. By the way, running back.
I'm trying to think of a food take with this one because that's what I feel like I'm probably on pace for. Okay, a food take hill that I will die on is I'm trying to think. What's a food that's trash?
I can't think, man. I actually don't know what hill I want to die on.
Oh, I got one. You're going to hate this.
No.
It's a type of cuisine that I think is
Italian.
Extremely overrated.
Do not say Italian.
Italian food is overrated.
Brother, you are not having the right Italian food. You got to go to a nonna.
Okay, before you say anything, I grew up with 2 Italian twins. Their mom was the best cook I've ever met in my life. So her Italian food was really good. But generally speaking, like the regular Italian dishes that you find at most Italian restaurants, I think are semi overrated.
I would agree with that because they're not true Italian meals. I'm telling you, man, if you want a true Italian meal, you need the 4'11" nonna with the sleeves rolled up, with the ankle showing, the open sandals, no socks on. She's in the kitchen with her apron. Her husband just finished a full day bricklaying, and now you're ready for a nice steak dinner with maybe some fucking gnocchi on the side, some wine. I'm telling you, man, that is the fucking cuisine you need.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Maria's going to Italy in like 4 weeks, so I'm sure she's gonna have the whole Italian cuisine. But I will say, like, generally speaking, cuisines, like I prefer like Asian food. I prefer Spanish food. Like I wouldn't rate Italian very high because I do like the other cuisines better personally.
I guess I actually do have a take I would die on. Tequila when it's with margaritas, slap. Tequila on its own, I would fucking rather have any other alcohol.
Really? I think it's a complete opposite with tequila. I don't like margaritas, but I like tequila shots.
I don't like tequila shots. If people order tequila shots to the table, I would rather have, my rum and coke. Or if we're going straight shots, I would just rather really any other like whiskey or bourbon or something like that, to be honest.
Yeah. I got another
vodka.
one too.
I would rather vodka.
Margaritas any day of the week too.
What'd you say?
Mojitos over margaritas any day of the week.
I can't hate on that because mojitos on a vacation are fucking unbeaten. Like you go to
in Mexico, I had so many mojitos, dude. It was like the only drink I drank.
You go to any South American country or island or wherever the fuck you go. You want to go to the Bahamas, you want to go to Dominican, Cuba, fucking Mexico, anywhere like that, something exotic. And you have a mojito on the beach while you're laying down in one of those nice lawn chairs, and you have the water in front of you giving you the mitts. You got a nice glaring sun fucking beaming on you, and you got a nice mojito in hand. I fuck with it. No, I definitely fuck with it. I haven't had a mojito in so long, but I still remember like I was getting fucking so many mojitos on vacation when I was like 16, 17, because those resorts do not give a fuck. And I probably got like 8+ fucking mojitos a thing because it was all inclusive.
Yeah. Also, Flet came out with one too. I think soup and sandwich is the best combo of foods that there is.
Oh God.
I'll take soup and sandwich over surf and turf, over whatever combo of foods you can think. Dude, soup and sandwich is slap. I don't give a shit.
Are you 7? Are you 7 years old?
No, dude, soup is unreal.
That's so. Oh, okay. South, I meant. Flat. I get it.
Yeah, dude, you named a bunch of North American islands and Mexico.
Sorry, I think of it as South. My fault. Like not South America.
Southern
like
to
Southern.
Us is what he meant.
So, yeah. Fuck. Okay, Flat. I get it. You're gonna quiz my geography when we're an hour and 24 minutes into the stream.
Oh, I'm actually so stupid. I didn't even see Watson's name, dude. I thought Dak was the highest rated quarterback.
No, he was the highest rated quarterback.
Yeah, I should have taken Watson there. Also, Brody, I had like a steak so rare yesterday that I probably could have mooed a couple times. So I'm a big like rare steak guy. I do not. If you give me a fucking medium or close or longer cooked steak than that, I literally won't eat it.
Really, eh?
Yeah, wait, no, I want him blue.
We had some other comments we can get to. Oh, Ramondre. This is the one. Efficient enough to keep Belichick's committee backfield strategy in check and beat. I absolutely think so.
I do too.
I mean, if I look at his truth from last year, let me just pull it up. You guys will be seeing that video, by the way, come out tomorrow. But I just worked through his truth from last year. And when he was able to take over the full workload from Damien Harris in games that Damien Harris played under 30% of the snaps, Ramondre Stevenson was averaging about 17.9 PPR points per game, which would have equated to the RB5 on the season. We know this is a big running back. They trust between the tackles. We know this is a guy that can contribute on all 3 downs. Like, assuming they don't add anybody, this is going to be one of my prime targets come round 3.
Bro, I want them to add somebody, not Cook, because I think Cook's money will be such that he has like, a workload. But if they add Elliott or Fournette or something like that, dude, I think that Ramondre's ADP will drop down to the 3-4 turn area, maybe like the mid fourth area. And I will be snapping up so many shares of Ramondre Stevenson if that happens, because I think that if they don't bring in Dalvin Cook, then you're looking at a guy that's going to fill like a 20-30% snap share. And I think Ramondre can be the main back the rest of the time. And if it's a washed up guy like Zeke or fucking Fournette, like I really don't care that much. So for me, Ramondre Stevenson is a guy that I think could end up being a huge value. I've cooled out on my exposure to Ramondre Stevenson in like best ball drafts right now, because of if they add somebody, I think the ADP discount will be there. But if they do add somebody, I'm going to be absolutely hammering the button on Ramondre for a bit.
Yep. No, I agree with that. If Danny doesn't,
yeah, we already read that one.
The boys love that Twitter post because it was just fucking real. 8-team redraft league, rank Olave, Pollard, and Jacobs. Pollard Olave,
far and away better than both of the other 2 guys.
Yeah. In an 8-team, do you go Jacobs over Olave?
Yeah, I do. 100%.
I think I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. I mean, you could start a lot of receivers there. I have Jacobs over Olave in 12-team leagues. I would easily take Jacobs over Olave.
I mean, Bateman falls to me. I got to kind of take him there.
What's up, guys? This is my first year doing a dynasty league. I want to know, is it better to go quarterback in the first or wide receiver? So if it's a super flex league, it is better to go quarterback in the first, depending on the value. Of course, there's no, this position's better than that position. It's whoever the best player available on the board is. If the best quarterback available is like the quarterback 11 off the board, like Deshaun Watson or Kyler Murray or something, and you're picking at 112 and Jefferson's still there, then obviously you take Jefferson.
Yeah, 100%. So the way I would view it right now is, so my top 7 quarterbacks, so Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence, Jackson, first 7 players off the board. Then I have the 2 wide receivers from LSU, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. And then I finish off my first round with Fields, Watson, Kyler in that order.
Yeah, exactly. It really all depends what the best available players on the board is there. So I'm just going to switch cameras quick. I'm all completely not fucking organized on my camera stuff here.
It's looking for someone who moves the needle in my 10-man dynasty league who isn't super expensive. Thoughts on potential targets?
I'm assuming he's contending. If he's asking.
Well, I was just going to say, first of all, if you want someone that's going to move the needle, there's probably not going to be a lot of options that aren't super expensive. So you inherently got to understand that. I would say more so your veteran wide receivers who are going like round 4, round 5 for your startups is probably your best bet. A guy like Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, probably someone in that range, I would say, where you're getting access to that elite ceiling without having to pay a CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown level 2nd round price tag.
Yeah. It really is going to depend on what you're looking for position wise, but I do think it's probably best to go for go for guys that are needle movers. Like the easiest way is just like kind of look at the redraft ADP landscape and see how many like discounted players you can get in redraft ADP. Like, for example, like you said, with a Cooper Kupp injury, for example, maybe you can get a discount because he's older and because he's coming off of an injury. Or you could go a little bit cheaper if you're not looking to spend up super expensive. You could go after Evans or Keenan Allen or DeAndre Hopkins, guys like that. Are you doing hits and busts of 22 video to see how you did last year or best target? So yes, absolutely best targets for different platforms. That will 100% be coming out. And right now, literally in our manifesto, you can already see that. Hits and busts of 22. Like as far as our own takes, we could definitely do that. I'm trying to think, did we do something like that last year?
I mean, like I guess we can, like when we do our sleepers, our busts, and our breakouts video, we could always just wrap around and say, hey, listen, like this is what happened on the video last year. This is what worked. This is what didn't work. Let's try to make it, 100% hit rate this year.
Well, my sleepers kind of cooked. I know my sleepers cooked last year, which is the best that my sleepers have ever done because I had Dotson, Algier, and Watson as sleepers for me last year.
Christian?
Yeah.
Oh, right. You got higher on him before the season.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
let me see if I can find
one of my sleepers last year. My breakouts. Well, my number one breakout candidate was Amon-Ra, which obviously was pretty good. As well.
I remember we were fighting for him.
You had Olave and Pierce and Ramondre, I think, on your breakouts video. So
yeah, it was pretty fucking dominant. I'm not gonna lie. Let me.
I think I had Goddard and somebody else in mine too. I think.
Was okay. You take some of the talking right now because I'm gonna try to find the video just to see exactly what we had.
Most famous celebrity you've ever met? I've literally never met any celebrities. Like not even capping. I have never met a single celebrity.
I mean, you guys know the fucking story. All fucking played against Mechie and Brown and the Brown twins, but I would say like the most famous one would be Shea because I grew up with his brother. And then I guess like if you get
Alexander, by the way.
Yeah, NBA player. And if you guys know who Jid the rapper is, I actually had a meet and greet with him, got to talk with him, talked, some of the influences in his album, The Forever Story. If you guys are in on the rap scene,
you'll know JID Jid?
JID Jid, like he goes by both.
Oh, okay. Well,
he literally calls himself Jid
is literally JID, too. Is it not? Like it's J period J-I period D.
Yeah, but he calls himself Jid in some of his songs too.
You're up on the clock, by the way.
Yep. Oh shit. RB. Sure, Jarek. I'll take that. By the way, so
I met Jamal Murray as well, to your point about meeting NBA players that grew up in your hometown. So I met Jamal Murray. I played a pickup game with him when I was like 14, hit a 3 in his eye. No big deal, but he wasn't really trying that hard. So I don't think it was that deep.
So out of my bus quickly. So the only one I was like dead wrong on was Nick Chubb. I didn't think Kareem Hunt would completely forget how to play running back last year. So that was part of it. Miles Sanders, he paid off at ADP. So I would say that was a hit. But other than that, Damien Harris, Ezekiel Elliott, and Aaron Jones barely got back to top 12 status when I was saying at the 2-3 turn, he would be fighting for back end RB1 when that's not the archetype I was taking. So I say that's a pretty good video overall. In your bust, you had what? Elijah Mitchell, Alan Lazard, David Montgomery, Amari Cooper, and Dalvin Cook. So pretty much similar in terms of like just, we hit on a couple guys like outperformed our expectations. For sleepers, there's another round? Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is gross. Just give me, where's Chase Brown? Fuck. Okay. I got fired, I guess. Last round of the draft. Who did it give me? Oh, Kirk Cousins. Nice. Anytime I can get Kirk Cousins when I already have Lamar Jackson round 3, I love that. Yeah. So your sleepers, you had Watson, TDP, David Bell, Algier, and Dotson. So 3 of those 5 like paid off, and especially for sleepers, that's a good hit rate. For my sleepers last year, I found it. Okay. Sleepers last year,
I think.
In Njoku, Olave, Darrell Henderson had a good start to the year. You probably could have traded off of him pretty well. KJ Osborne, he was more of a best ball guy, but at his opportunity cost, he wasn't terrible. And then Kadarius Toney was just a knucklehead, so that was an L take there.
Yeah. Who were my other breakouts? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention when you talked about those.
I'm looking right now. I didn't click onto the breakouts yet. Breakouts, I had
St. Brown and Goddard were 2 of them.
So I'll just quickly go through mine quickly. Ramondre, Trey Lance, obviously big sad he gets hurt. Jerry Jeudy, who paid off. Elijah Moore, who was a bad pick. And then Travis Etienne, who really, really paid off. So I'll take that hit rate. And then for you, breakouts. Where is it? What thumbnail do you remember having for that one? Oh, I found it.
It's St. Brown and Goddard on the thumbnail.
St. Brown, Goddard, Bateman, London, and Pierce. So you had Pierce, actually. You had him in breakouts.
I had Pierce. Yeah.
I was going to have him in my I remember I was going to have him on my sleepers, and then I remember we were going into that week and we talked about it like, yo, his ADP's like high enough now we could just move him to the breakout. So you took him.
Yeah, that was true. Yeah, for sure. Okay, we also have a super from Alex here. He says, "Hey, ESPN league, I picked 9 and 16, but I also traded for pick 26. I want to target Diggs, Amon-Ra, Wilson, and Olave. Should I go Olave round 3 or quarterback?" So for me, there's absolutely zero chance I take Chris Olave over Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen, but I would take Chris Olave over Lamar Jackson. So that would be the tier of quarterbacks that we're deciding between there. But I also would want to know what running backs are available and other wide receivers. Because for me, I prefer, Breece Hall and Ramondre Stevenson and those guys to Chris Olave. And I also prefer Calvin Ridley, Devontae Smith, T. Higgins, and those guys to Chris Olave. So it would all depend kind of what tier. But if you're huge on Olave, I don't think 26 is like a huge reach or anything.
Yep. Agreed. What's up, J Metal? J Full Metal? I always fucking. Do you go by J Metal or J Full? I feel like I just combine both things that I call you. You call him J Full. I usually call him J Metal K.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, fucking appreciate having you in here. Well, betting on regular season baseball is only second to betting on hockey.
Dude, betting on hockey sucks. What do you mean? I love hockey, but it is horrible to bet on.
It is horrible to bet on because you're just at the mercy of a lot of variance in terms of balance.
Hockey is like betting on kickers and defenses. Like it's literally so random.
Long-term betting in hockey actually is even harder now that I think about it, because like a team like the Blues can just get hot and win the cup. Honestly, football is like, especially college football for the most part. I heard college football, if you can like narrow down and get some good bets in college football, it's pretty easy to fucking make some winners. Like I've seen people like make a ton of money on just betting college football. So I'd say in terms of betting, college football is definitely up there. NFL,
golf is one of the best EV sports to bet as well.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say, we never plug this, by the way, but we do actually have an affiliate link down below for Elite Picks, which is Pro Handicappers Picks, and you guys can actually get the first day of that free for $5, I believe. And I've tailed a couple of their picks. I would say once the NFL season begins, if you guys plan to bet on games, definitely check out that link. Because I've tailed a couple of their picks and they've been pretty good. Like I don't watch basketball, but just to see how kind of, good these guys were, I tailed a couple basketball picks of theirs and I tailed a couple golf picks of theirs. And I ended up hitting Rahm to win the Masters because these guys were all over John Rahm to win the Masters. So
how much did you make on that?
Definitely was helpful.
How much did you make on Rahm winning? That's probably really good.
$350 on a $50 bet, I think. He was like top 5 in odds because he was like the second-rated golfer in the world at the time. But between the top guys, McIlroy and like Scheffler and those guys, they were all over Rahm over the top guys. So I ended up
the last time I bet on Rahm to win one of the tournaments, I forget which tournament it was at the time. The last time I bet on Rahm, he was like out in like the first or second round, and that was when Scotty Scheffler won. I think you made your bet when Scheffler
won. I've hit the Masters winner 3 years in a row.
That's fucked.
I got Matsuyama 3 years ago, Scheffler 2 years ago, and Rahm this past year. I've hit on the Masters winner 3 years in a row.
I'm just gonna have to tell your picks
betting on like 3 or 4 guys too. Like I'm not betting on like a lot of people. Like I'm betting on like one high end guy with a lot of good odds in his favor. And ironically, I think Scheffler and Rahm were both like the 2 highest the last 2 years, and they won it the last 2 years. And then Matsuyama was one of my long shots, I believe, 3 years ago, and he ended up winning the Masters. But I only put like $10 on him, so I won like 150. But he was like 15 to 1 or 20 to 1 or something like that.
What backfield most likely to add a free agent running back? I mean, if we're looking at
probably.
New England probably. It's tough to say because like maybe
I think Miami's getting less and less likely. I'm way more likely to take shots on Mostert and A-Chain and Jeff Wilson and underdog right now. I think
I like all their values.
Patriots are the 2 most likely backfields to add a player. Maybe the Colts as well too.
I mean, and of course the wild card would be hypothetically like, let's just say Malik Davis, Deuce Vaughn, and Rico Dowdle in particular aren't really impressing the Cowboys. They said they want to see what they have in their young backs before they make a decision. Hypothetically, if they don't
impress them.
I think so too. I've been staunch on the record for saying that I don't think the Cowboys are going to add a back, but I will say if they don't see enough signs in the preseason, I could see a very cheap Leonard Fournette maybe added to the backfield. But
I think
for the most part, as a Cowboys fan, I just want them to not add somebody. Or, as a Pollard owner, if they want to add Fournette and I can get Pollard at the late second, I will take that every single time.
Honest to God, dude, I think they're not going to end up adding somebody. And if they don't end up adding somebody, then Deuce Vaughn needs to be a sleeper pick for everybody. Because if they didn't add somebody, I think Deuce Vaughn is the best one to work into a role. Because as much as Pollard's a good pass catcher, Deuce Vaughn is his trump card is pass catching. And I'm sure he's the best pass catching running back on the team. I think it's way more likely that Deuce Vaughn eats into Tony Pollard's workload than Malik Davis works in on early downs instead of Tony Pollard. I think they would probably just use Pollard in like the Zeke role and use Deuce Vaughn as like the change of pace Pollard role.
Deuce Vaughn's got juice, man. Like, I know it's just been like, obviously his film was great too, but even like, just like, I know it doesn't say much, but just watching some training camp, like clips, like seeing how he's like acclimating himself. By the way, it's fucking hilarious how small he looks on the field next to everybody. But like, he looks like a guy that isn't fucking scared of anything. And like, if you're going to be a small back and you're fearless, man, I will take you on my football team every single fucking time. I don't care if you're 5'5", 5'6". I don't care if you're $175, $180. If you are willing to put your fucking shoulder pads down and run through guys who are much larger than you, I fucking want you on my team. Like, maybe that's just also like my bias, because obviously I played fullback and I was a shorter fullback when I played. I was like 5'9" when I played. So I was routinely banging heads with people that are like 6'2", 6'3" at linebacker. Like, just having that no fear element, like just being willing to go through anybody, no matter who the fuck is in front of your face. I'll always what's the term? Not empathize. I'll always relate.
Yeah, empathize with people. Relate to people.
Relate,
like that.
To people like that.
Dude, I have 7% Deuce Vaughn on Underdog, and he's routinely getting undrafted most of the time. So I actually have been drafting him quite a bit, especially if you have any kind of Lions or Cowboys. Like, he's a good like week 17 cheap correlation to have there, because Deuce Vaughn will probably, the sneaky part about him for best ball is that he'll probably work on special teams and maybe be the kick returner as well. So if he houses like a kick return in week 17 and catches a touchdown or something like that, then you have a chance that he has like a big week 17, week 18, round 18 type of correlation there. Heard some disagreement between y'all and Saquon in the running back rankings video. Where around are we taking them each? So I have Saquon at 14. Where do you have him?
See, I have him a little bit lower. The difference for me, you have him over what, Pollard, and you have him over what?
I have him over AJ Brown.
Wow. Okay, that's where it is. Okay, so I have AJ Brown at 14, Pollard 15, Chubb 16, and then Saquon 17 for me.
Yeah, so I would take him, like, if you guys have like a mid pick and you grab like, you know, what Andrew did here with the 1-8 Stephon Diggs. Had Nick Chubb been gone and he went the pick before, I would have been fine taking Barkley or something like that. So that's kind of where we differ there. What's up, guys? I have the third pick in a rookie draft. I'm weak at running back. You guys still have rookie drafts. That's wild. Wow. Who should I target? Walker's my RB1 for reference. So if you're weak at running back, I mean, in a super flex league, it's too early to take Gibbs, in my opinion. And if it's a one quarterback league, you probably won't get Gibbs. So, I mean, you take best player available, regardless of what your team situation is. A one quarterback draft, your best player is going to be JSN. In a super flex draft, your best player is going to be Bryce Young / Anthony Richardson.
Yep. No, you took, honest to God, I got auto pick Kirk. So in this, if you wanted Kirk, I would just go to you and say, hey, literally give me fucking anybody. Like, give me Roshan and I'll give you Kirk. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That Flesky roster looks like a winner. I don't know, man. He's battling against that Danny Ladd 21 roster right beside him. It's gonna be pretty close.
I kind of hate my team, so I won't even chime in here. Again, this is why you do mocks. I wanted to test out what it would look like if I went a double hero, and knowing how it looked, I definitely wouldn't have done that again.
Brian Robinson in my flex a little sketch, but other than that, I got advantages pretty much across the board, so I'm pretty happy with that.
I got a 72% win rate. Jeez,
dude, send me some of your picks. What the fuck?
Yeah, send me some of your picks in hockey, dude. I can't pick a winner in hockey to save my life, man. I think that is the hardest sport to bet on. Okay. Would you go as of now for Stevenson over Hurts or Allen? No, I would. As of now, no, definitely not. I would.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
As of now, no. But if this is the last week of August and we're expecting a full workload week 1 for Breece Hall, he's going to be a guy I'd be comfortable taking like right after the Barkley, Pollard, and Chubb range. So
what if he hasn't played in a preseason game? Would you still have the same answer?
Well, then it's a little bit different. I would want to see him, and I would probably like navigate the risk at that point.
So let's say he's expected to be ready, but he hasn't played.
I would still say he would probably be an early to mid third. So I'd probably lean the quarterbacks there just because I kind of want to see him before I rank him over the quarterbacks. And I already feel like having him ranked early to mid third is going to be having him ahead of the market anyways, that I don't think I have to go overboard and rank him as a late second round pick just to show that I'm way higher. You know what I mean? I would rather take the quarterback and then hope he kind of falls around.
And I think if Stevenson doesn't have a back added to his backfield, I would take Allen over him, but not Hurts.
Interesting. But what about Mahomes?
Mahomes, I would probably take over him as well. I think there's a bigger difference between Allen and Mahomes versus Hurts than there is like all three of them together. I think there's a slight discrepancy with Hurts. They're just given the efficiency of him on the ground last year, the 13 rushing touchdowns, the lack of pass volume. I do favor Mahomes and Allen slightly over Jalen Hurts there.
Yep. And Josh Allen's going to be the guy that's going to be ranked by quarterback as quarterback 3 for some people. That is just completely blasphemous. This might sound like a contrarian take, but I genuinely feel like Allen is closer to be like being in like a mini tier on his own than he is to being quarterback 3, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm on the same page because he has the outs for both rushing and for passing.
Yep.
Bobcats is a hill he will die on is winter over summer. I'll take this. I'll take a hill that I'll die on is fall is the best season of all of them.
Oh, you're weird for that. I mean, your birthday's in fall, so it makes more sense.
W's. Football, my birthday's in fall. It's the best time of year. It's sweater weather, all the fucking pumpkin spice, and I also love soup, and it's perfect soup time of year. Of course,
you love soup.
I do. Soup is my favorite shit in the world. So, fall to me is the best season that there is, but winter to me is the third worst. I think that spring is the worst season. Summer is the second best. Fall is the best.
Of course, my birthday's in spring, by the way, and I agree with you that spring is the worst season because it's like cold, but it's
gross.
Not winter, and it's like not hot enough to like just go out and do summer shit. So I agree. The reason why I like summer the most is simply because you get access to golf season, a lot less stress.
All golf rates are cheaper. It's cheaper to golf in the fall.
Fair. But
dude,
I mean,
everything about fall is goated. There's nothing bad about fall. Like specifically September and October, not necessarily like November, like fall. I mean like September, October, fall.
I will say though, the golf course beer you have in the beating summer is so much more relaxing than the golf course beer that you'll have in fucking fall, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. I just think the
I can't go winter over summer, but I could see fall.
Of football season, weather's elite, golf rates are cheaper, like everything's great at beginning of September, middle of September, late September.
Question I have then is I would see that fall and summer, in my opinion, are clearly the top 2. For you, is it winter or summer? Because I would rather summer than winter.
I would rather have winter or summer.
Yeah,
I would rather have summer than winter for sure.
Like winter, it's just like you're kind of like stuck inside.
Fall and summer in a tier at first for me, and then winter.
Spring is just so far the last.
Of its own behind summer, and then
spring just sucks.
Yeah, spring is just ass.
There's nothing going on in spring aside from like baseball. I guess like playoff basketball would be like late spring, early summer. So that's probably why. But yeah,
fall cat is goated, dude. How can we all be football degenerates and not say that fall is the best time of the year? Realistically, like fall is the best time of the year.
Yeah, and you also got like hockey starting up then too.
Yeah, dude, it's the best. October is the best month of the year for sports, also because baseball playoffs are going off. If you're a baseball fan, hockey and NBA are starting, and football is in full swing as well. It's the best season of the year.
Yeah, like fall.
Also, it's also the best time for TV shows like Hell's Kitchen and like shows that I watch. They all have new seasons in the fall.
I'm gonna keep it a stack. I don't watch any live TV at all.
Some TV shows have, I would say most major networks will have their new seasons airing in the fall, though.
I'm going to get like, for the most part, for me, the way I consume content is literally at this point through like YouTube or like Netflix or something like that.
For me, for the most part, too, but there's a couple shows here and there that I like watching the new seasons of, and Hell's Kitchen is one of them. It's always in the fall.
Yeah, that's fair.
Andrew said thoughts on my team. Real quick, we'll go over it. He has Diggs, Chubb, Gibbs, Judy, Mike Williams. I think you built this out pretty strong.
Team.
I would have. I mean,
a little early on Ingram,
quarterback, obviously, but I like the move there. I think you definitely did a better job of building out a double hero than I did. I think you got better values at your spots there.
The only thing I will say is probably what I would have changed for me.
Tad early for me on Addison. I probably would have taken him over Kirk and Evans and Deontay.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. So for me, I don't mind Gibbs there. I probably would have went with like Lamar there for you personally. But let's just say the start's fine. I would have from an opportunity bundle standpoint gotten Trevor Lawrence and Quentin Johnson rather than Jordan Addison and Evan Ingram.
You could have gone Pitts there as well if you wanted a onesie tight end. You could have gone Pitts instead of Addison and then gone with Quentin Johnson or Elijah Moore or something with your next pick.
But overall, I think you did strong. Yeah.
How do I get in the mocks? Get the noties on, basically. I can't. believe people try and I just won't do it. Yeah, literally. Yeah, people are not a fan of the Deuce Vaughn takes.
People love the fall.
It's kind of location dependent. Arizona has like
we're in
20
Canada.
days over. Yeah, dude. In Canada, like, I mean, our summers are like very reasonable. Like when we went to Dallas last September, we were like, this is hell. And Spicy Hot, who obviously lives in San Antonio,
he's like, this is a cool day.
Nothing. Yeah, like this is nothing. And we're like, this is actual hell. Like, how do you guys live in this? And it was September, keep in mind. Like, it wasn't even like middle of summer.
Which, by the way, I mean, viewer discretion, real quick. Don't like if you don't want to listen to this imagery, then I understand. But I don't know what it is about fucking American food too. But tell me you didn't feel like dog shit after eating the fast food down there. Like, you remember me on the Sunday.
Oh yeah. Danny was not having the food there. I honestly, no offense to you guys, Americans, I don't know what the fuck is in your food, to be honest. Like, even like your healthy food. Like, we go to like Panera and shit when we're in Buffalo. Like, your lettuce tastes different than ours. Like, it's weird.
It tastes unhealthier. It tastes like genetically modified.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It actually does taste like it's more unhealthy. And I mean, I've seen people post like Twitter threads about like how many additives and stuff is in American food that's like banned in other parts of the world and stuff like that. And I think probably that's what it is. But I've noticed that about American food, that I really feel like
water too.
After like eating it.
The water tastes like dog shit. I don't know what it is. Like some of the, you remember when we went to Buffalo and we went to the corner store because they had like a pack of water and like it just had like I don't know what it's like, a salty type of like flavor to it, but like I was drinking it to quench my thirst and I felt like I got more thirsty doing it.
Yeah, no, I noticed that in New York as well. I was like thirsty the entire trip.
Talking about players, yeah,
dude. Fall has the highest upside. Realistically, it's a safe projection. It's like the Justin Jefferson of seasons.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Team 4? Tried to do double hero, but not a fan of thin at wide receiver. Yeah, so you look like you did the same thing as me. Yeah, I think you went definitely too thin. If you were going to go double hero like what me and what Andrew did, you probably couldn't have gone 2 onesies like you did there with Fields. And I probably go with wide receiver there instead of Fields, and then hammer out some more wide receivers later on where you took Kamara and James Conner there. If you go double hero RB, God, you should not take another running back until like round 9 or 10.
That's most of my problem with it. I don't mind mixing in the Fields and the Pitts here, but then at that point you got to fully commit to the double hero, and you can't take these running backs here. For me personally, like at this point, 704, I would take a guy like Quentin Johnson. At the 809, you probably go with your best rated wide receiver, whether that's Sky Moore, Michael Thomas, whoever the fuck it is. You can't take the Connor and the Kamara bomb here, already having committed to McCaffrey and Henry, I would say, because then you're way too far behind on the 8 ball at wide receiver, because now you're looking at a wide receiver core of Waddle, DJ Moore, Jameson Williams, who's not going to play for the first 6 weeks, and then you're supplementing your wide receiver 3 and flexes with guys like Jacoby Myers and Michael Gallup, who in a managed league, if you're trying to win, probably shouldn't be touching your lineup for the most part.
Yeah, and I mean, in a full PPR league where you could start up to 5 wide receivers, you want to start up to 5 wide receivers. You don't want to have backs in your flex. Like maybe your last flex spot, you could mix in a running back here and there, but at least like 4 of those flex spots should be locked down by wide receivers 90% of the time, I would say. So we're going to answer the rest of these questions here and then probably sign off. Brody says I may be in Toronto next year, so I'll have to see if I feel healthier.
I mean, let us know when you're down there. Let us know when you're down there.
For sure. Again, I'm in half PPR league keeper with the 101. What's up?
I just want to say, by the way, too, we've talked about it before, but if you guys ever want like a meetup or something like that, like let us know. We can coordinate. You guys can make it out to like Toronto, or we can make it out to Buffalo or something like that. If you guys are close by and want to do something like that, just let us know. If there's enough people that want to do something like that, we can definitely, whether it's, going there for the bars to watch a slate of football or something, like we'd be fucking down to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Most of the second round wide receivers are kept at the 101. He says, I keep Waddle, Debo, and Walker with my 6, 7, 8. Which 2 would you pair with Justin Jefferson? Gibbs, ETN, Brees, Allen, Mahomes. Absolutely. Knowing that you already are pretty strong at wide receiver, after you get Jefferson, you'd have Jefferson, Waddle, and Debo. I'm cool bypassing. Yeah. I think Allen and Brees would probably be my answer as well.
Agree with you there.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Team 3? We'll quickly go over.
I had to read that. I might say I'm busy if that's going to get pooped.
Yeah, Bush, that's the only rule. If we do have a meetup, you got to get a man's meal. That's the only.
Bro, I'll eat soup in like 40 degrees Celsius, 100 degree Fahrenheit weather. I don't give a shit. Big Sam says thoughts on team 3. So he went Bijan, Josh Allen, Calvin Ridley, Kenneth Walker. If you want to highlight team 3, you got it there.
One more wide receiver, I would say.
Yeah, this is just my personal opinion. I think if you go early at one of quarterback or tight end, you can't really go early at the other one in this type of format. If it's a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, yeah, you can do it. But if it's in a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league, there's so many starting spots available for wide receivers that I don't think you can really afford to go with both Josh Allen and Dallas Goedert in the first 8 rounds. I think I would have preferred to go with Christian Kirk or with, I guess you already have thing there. If you would have gone Mike Evans there and you go Ridley, Lockett, Mike Evans, Gabe Davis at wide receiver, and then you just take, Freiermuth later or something, I think that would have made a little bit more sense. And also knowing that you had Bijan and Walker, I wouldn't have touched James Cook or Rashad Penny. I would have taken more wide receivers there as well.
Agreed there. I will say I'm cool with going with another tight end if you're committed to like not touching a running back to like round 6, round 7 plus. Like for example, for me, I did go with an early tight end and an early quarterback, but I made sure that I was.
But you also took 2 wide receivers with your first 2 picks. If you're going to go
3 out of my
double hero RB, then you can't really do that. Exactly. Is what I'm saying.
If you're going with a wide receiver early start, it's okay, because you need to make sure you're not behind the 8 ball at wide receiver. If you're willing to sacrifice that running back, knowing, okay, I'm not probably getting access to high end upside at running back, I may as well just take the opportunity cost on guys like Dobbins, Montgomery, Brian Robinson, who pretty much project similarly to a lot of guys like even Dameon Pierce, Najee Harris, Kenneth Walker, guys like that. So if you're going to forfeit the running backs and get more like cheaper production RB2 guys, then I don't mind getting the elite advantages at wide receiver and quarterback and tight end at that spot. But I will say though, unless you are completely ahead of the 8 ball, like I was 3 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds, I don't like going with both early. And I mean, Fled actually has a similar strategy to me. He made sure he was ahead of the 8 ball at wide receiver and still took the early quarterback and tight end. And he still, for the most part, like I would probably have added one more running back to this team, but that's a really strong 0 RB build, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just difficult when you go with, I'm trying to find, did anybody go with a double hero where they had, but they didn't go with 2 onesies? I guess all of us kind of did it, because I guess I didn't go with any onesies. I went late with Prescott and Freiermuth on both. But had I gone with, like, let's say Justin Fields had fallen back to me at 4-11, I could have maybe done it there and taken Justin Fields, and then I would have deviated off and continued to smash wide receivers there. But anyways, I have to get going for my little vacation this weekend. So we're going to sign off here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, if you guys want access to our redraft rankings manifesto 2.0, we added the new features where you can compare home league ADP to your whatever platform you're doing it to our rankings. So ESPN, NFL, Yahoo Fantasy, wherever you guys are playing, Sleeper, wherever. And also all of our quarterback rankings, running back, wide receiver tiers, all that stuff, positional rankings, overall rankings for one quarterback. The cheat sheet is being made this weekend. So if you guys have a draft coming up, Jonathan Price 33 is going to get that done for us this weekend. And also a new feature in that cheat sheet, whatever platform you're playing on, you'll be able to load that ADP into the cheat sheet. So if you're playing on ESPN, you can just go to the checkbox, make a copy of the sheet, hit ESPN, and then it'll populate the ESPN ADP so you can see FSC versus ESPN, and then check off the things as you're going along. That'll be done probably by the end of this weekend. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'll flash the logo one more time. Want access to it, $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy or flockfantasy.com/FSC. And we are out of here. Peace out.